That's a good question. I mean, in some ways, I would say I'm still working through some stuff. But yeah, at the end of the day, I guess when you experience some of the things like God am I and that sort of thing, there's so much compassion and you want to do something about it. And there's a lot of sadness that comes in with that. But at the same time, the more time you spend being sad, the less time you're spending trying to do something about it. So I think I just try to channel that into into really doing something. And the animals don't, I don't think the animals want, Kip and I talk about this. The animals don't want us to be sad. They want us to get out and just keep spreading the good news about the alternative that we have. So
Wow, thank you so much. Okay, the next question is what has the range of feedback been so far? And then what is your next project? That's
I'd say the yeah, I'd say the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive, which is good thus far. We did, the theatrical run and a bunch of private screenings before that. And I would say probably the ratio of, people that are already open to plant-based or are vegan, was probably high, maybe in the like 60, 70 percentile, somewhere around there. But we did have a lot of non-vegans see the film as well. But again, I think the atmosphere really created a positive experience overall, a lot of good conversation. And then the screenings that we did do with, very particularly fundamental religious people, et cetera, it went better than we thought. We still haven't had it, widely released digitally to get that full response just yet. So we'll see. But in a more controlled environments with people that I would say would be the most opposed probably to the film, they even though they may not agree with everything and they're struggling to agree with it by the end or processing, usually people say, well, ultimately, I feel you presented this in a way that felt like I can approach it, and I didn't feel attacked, and I felt like I was guided along a journey to ask questions and these kind of things. And so I'd say in that sense, it's a good response, even on the, more challenging viewers. And we just hope, our goal is just to start a conversation, not to point fingers and try to make people mad or feel, even though the nature of the film does show hypocrisy and some of these types of things, it's ultimately guiding towards the end that we have in the film, where it's more about unity and how can we come together around this one key principle that we could all agree on.
okay. That leads into another question, which was how did the scholars, where you haven't, have you gotten feedback from very many scholars? Was
Yeah,
it
we've gotten some feedback. Yeah, we have. Obviously, we have the scholars in the film that, are very appreciative of it. The ones who are willing to even get out and talk. Some of them, like Andrew Lindsay, Professor Andrew Lindsay, he's a bit of a hermit these days because he's just taken so much flack for standing up for the animals for so long that I think he kind of likes to duck out now and just stay in the background. But Professor Tabor, who ended the film, just now that you saw speaking, he's really excited to keep pushing it. He's been showing it to a lot of other scholars. He's been getting really good responses. And then we've had, different theologians and people. I actually did a podcast with a couple of them. One of them's already live. You can watch it. His name's Mark Vernon. And he's a guy that has a podcast called the Sheldrake Vernon Dialogues with Rupert Sheldrake, who's a quantum physicist and Anglican priest. And that conversation with Mark Vernon was really, really fruitful. And he wrote a really, I would say, strongly critical review of the film. And then I reached out to him and said, "Hey, can we chat about this?" And then we did a Zoom call and recorded it. And by the end of the call, he was almost like turned around and just was really appreciative and realized there was so much more there and so much more that was thought about going into it. So you can watch that. That's on YouTube. Me and Mark Vernon discussing the film.
wonderful, wonderful. Okay, we have quite a few more questions, and we're overtime into the next session. So that was awfully short. If you don't mind, would you mind answering some questions in the chat? If you have,
Sure, sure.
okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and bring up the next speakers. But go ahead and say a few words because people are asking how they can help. And
BJ,
You mean,
I just wanted to mention that we also have an open mic session coming up 1 hour from now. And if Cam is by any chance able to join us for that, then there would be an opportunity for us to talk more with him.
Boy, that would be great. So, yeah.
so in 1 hour, so at what is it, 7 Eastern? Is that what it is?
Eastern.
7,
Yes,
yes.
7 o'clock Eastern. Yes.
Okay, I'll do my best. Is it the film showing again one more time or no?
Not today. We're gonna have to, we'll have to
Okay.
reschedule. Yeah.
No worries, no worries. Yeah, I'll do my best to make that if I can. And out. So you're saying to answer with typing in the chat here some of the questions. Is that what you meant?
If that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine. I can do some of that. But yeah, I do know one of the main questions that I'll just go ahead and say for everyone is when can we see it again, or when can we share it with others? So I do want to address that really quick. I know some people were scanning at the end. That just took you to the website where we've still, we don't have anything announced there yet. We're working really, really hard on our digital release, and spread the word to everyone you know that's wondering what the heck's going on. As we said in our Kickstarter, we're building a pay it forward platform so that this film can be accessible to everyone, so that those who can afford to can pay it forward for others to see it who maybe can't. So that's going to be really exciting. We're getting really close there. We've just got some more testing we've got to do on it. So that's what's taking a little bit longer. We also were under contract with the theaters, so we couldn't release it until 30 days after the theater release anyways. But the big thing is that, we did this Kickstarter, everyone got behind it so massively, and then we got this opportunity really quickly to do the theater launch. So it rushed us into a lot of things that we weren't planning to do quite yet. So it's all good that we're happy that it's happened that way, because we know this film needs to be seen like yesterday or 2,000 years ago, one of the two. So we are rushing with everything we can to get it out. So just stay tuned on all of our social media and everything. We will announce a big announcement when we know we're going to have the exact date that we're releasing on digital.
Excellent. I know you answered the question that they want to know most. Well, thank you so
Awesome.
much, and I apologize to everybody that we don't have time for this, for a longer Q&A, but we will have other opportunities, I think. And so now it's time to invite our next guest up. Thank you so much, Cameron. And Judy, if you will put somebody's name in the chat before, don't let everybody in yet, please. Whoever's, we have to make sure we have room for the winner. And I'm making you a co-host so you can speak there, and maybe you can put the name in the privately to me, Judy, or to Gabrielle or somebody.
Well, Will and Madeline Tuttle, they haven't been able to get in yet, but they're in the waiting room. And
He's
I
in
don't.
now.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Is Lisa in?
She may have waited and then left. Let me see. I see a Lisa Burke and 2 other Lisas with no last name.
I think Lisa Levinson's name usually shows up.
Right. I think we have another Lisa here. If you have 2, Lisa, if you're in here twice, I see you up there twice. Could you move out of one of those, because we're short? We can only allow 100 participants in right now, and so that's what one of the delays is. If that's okay with you, Lisa. So you pick which one you'd like to leave from the room.
We're down to 80 something, Rebecca. We have lots of room.
Oh, good.
We're 93 now.
Oh, 93? Okay.
Yeah, it's going up and down, up and down. Okay, so Lisa Levinson, you may just message her that we'll let her in when she gets here. Oh, well, okay, now I see you, Lisa. She's here.
So, BJ, can you unmute Will? Do you see him there?
Yes, we'll unmute. We'll make him and Lisa. Lisa. Lisa, did I unmute the right Lisa? And now I'm going for Will. Okay, so now Will, and who should I bring up on board?
Lisa's going to speak first.
Okay. Well, okay, so I still have just two Lisas, and I must have highlighted the wrong one. So let me try the other one. Okay, if one of you, and you can't rename yourselves either, that's the problem. Now that you're co-host, you can rename yourselves with your last name.
BJ, Lisa just called me. She said it says IDA webinars on hers.
Oh,
You see that?
yes, I do.
Okay, good. That's her. That is she.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, now I'm
Really
going to try to
appreciate.
find you, or we're trying to find you to spotlight you, Lisa.
Okay, I'm going to change my name now that I'm a co-host. I can rename myself. So hopefully you can find me now.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. I gather that the previous talk was super popular because it was hard to get in here, so the waiting room, but I'm so delighted that we were able to join. Judy and I and Will and Madeline Tuttle. Thank you
And
very, very much.
you let us know when you're ready for them to come on screen. Or do you want them on screen now?
I think that would be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Greetings, everyone. We're here. We got on. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
This is the Homo Hipsa Award for
Who's talking? They should mute everyone, for God's sake.
Let us know when you're ready for us to begin. Thanks, BJ. I'm getting the nod, so we'll go ahead. Thank you all so, so much. We really appreciate everyone being here, and we apologize for the technical difficulties. So, as BJ mentioned, my name's Lisa Levinson. I am the campaigns director for In Defense of Animals, and I'm also the co-founder of the Interfaith Vegan Coalition. Also here, Judy Carmen is here as well. She is the author of Peace to All Beings, Homo Ahimsa, and a co-founder of the Interfaith Vegan Coalition as well. So she'll be speaking just a few moments. I am the fortunate one who gets to start us off today. So just a little bit about the Interfaith Vegan Coalition. It is a project of In Defense of Animals, and we founded, Judy Carmen and I, the Interfaith Vegan Coalition to help animal activists and spiritual leaders to bring vegan values to spiritual, ethical, and religious communities. The coalition provides faith-based tools to help all faith and secular wisdom traditions practice the ideals of nonviolence, loving kindness, and harmlessness toward all animals. The coalition is growing, and it's now composed of 47 member organizations, 5 allied organizations, and 1 partner organization, the Animal Interfaith Alliance, based in the UK, which is comprised of 17 member organizations. All of us are working in harmony for a common cause. The Homo Ahimsa Award was established by the coalition in 2021 and is given to honor those who exemplify the qualities of Homo Ahimsa in outstanding ways and demonstrate how vegan living can co-create a world of peace, partnership, and loving kindness by ending violence and domination of people, animals, and the earth. The award is named after the book Homo Ahimsa, Who We Really Are and How We're Going to Save the World, by Judy Carmen, who we just introduced, and she coined that term. Our coalition is now proud and excited to present our annual and prestigious Homo Ahimsa Award to Dr. Will and Madeline Tuttle, decades-long vegans, meditators, and animal activists. So I'd like to take a moment and just show you the award. So to do that, I am going to share my screen for a moment. Let's see here. Looks like I can do that. Just make sure that it's all prepped and ready for everyone. Great. Let's see. Here we go. So I hope you're all seeing what I'm seeing, which is the award. Here's the Homo Ahimsa Award, and it's presented to Dr. Will and Madeline Tuttle. And you'll see on here what we call the Homo Ahimsa acrostic. And Judy might go into this a little bit more, but this was, the acrostic was put together by the American Vegan Society. And for A, it's abstinence from animal products. H is harmlessness with reverence for all life. I for integrity of thought, word, and deed. M for mastery over oneself. S, service to humanity, nature, and creation. And A, advancement of understanding and truth. So this is our privilege to be able to bestow this award on the Tuttles for their incredible demonstration of Homo Ahimsa. So I'll stop the share at this moment, and I would also like to take a moment to introduce Dr. Will Tuttle. In today's world, it is a truly heroic act every time we express nonviolence or ahimsa, as we just defined, through our actions, our thoughts, and our words. Our recognition of this dynamic duo as the recipients of the Homo Ahimsa Award signifies a growing shift towards compassion for all beings. Dr. Will and Madeline Tuttle tour the world to educate people about the virtues of vegan living and the harm that eating animals does to the animals, the earth, and to us, mentally, physically, and spiritually. The Tuttles have literally changed hearts and minds worldwide, inspired the vegan spiritual movement, and trained other vegan advocates to follow in their footsteps. They demonstrate a life of ahimsa, a tradition of non-harm and non-violence to all beings. Venerated champions of that teaching include Mahatma Gandhi, who took a vow of ahimsa that informed his life and his activism. Dr. Tuttle's writings, presentations, and music focus on compassion, creativity, intuition, and the intersection of social justice, animal liberation, veganism, environmental health, spiritual, and peace issues. Since 1985, he has delivered over 4,000 talks to live audiences, encouraging compassion and vegan living in over 50 countries and in all 50 US states. In just this last 5-month tour, he gave over 100 talks. Unbelievable. Dr. Tuttle is the author of 8 books, including the international bestseller, The World Peace Diet, which has been published in 17 languages. He's also the author of the newly released Food for Freedom on the interconnection of health freedom and animal liberation. He is a featured expert in cowspiracy, Christspiracy, which some of you just saw, and other documentary films, using his doctorate degree from UC Berkeley, which focused on educating intuition and altruism. He has taught college courses in creativity, comparative religion, and philosophy. Dr. Tuttle is a recipient of the Courage of Conscience Award and the Empty Cages Prize He's a former Zen monk and Dharma master in the Zen tradition. He is also the creator of 10 much-loved original piano music CD albums, which are available as MP3s. He is a frequent radio, television, and online presenter, and has created several wellness and advocacy training programs, including the World Peace Diet Facilitator Seminars. So now it's my pleasure to invite Judy on to share a bit more about Madeline. Hey, Judy.
Hi, everybody. It's so exciting to be here to give this award to this amazing couple, Madeline and Will Tuttle. I want to tell you a little bit about Madeline. She has basically demonstrated the Ahimsa way of living every day of her life. She is a multi-talented animal hero who creates inspired and visionary art depicting animals as a way of encouraging love and respect for all beings. And some of you may have seen some of her beautiful paintings. They're just so visionary and beautiful. She has created many YouTube videos also, which you all can look up on healthy, intuitive cooking, where she goes through the whole process of the things that she makes that are all extremely healthy and organic. And she also has videos on staying fit and also the importance of eating organic, growing and eating organic. And then she has inspiring videos that walk through her organic food forest, which provides many pounds of beautiful food from that actually pretty small forest. It's amazing what one can do. She is from Switzerland, and her visionary art has been exhibited in museums and galleries in Switzerland, Germany, and the US. They can also be found around the world in many homes and in a veterinarian's office, I just found out. They need to be in all veterinarians' offices. And she collaborates also with her art with Will in creating personalized music and art portraits for individuals and couples. She's also, and I forgot to mention, she creates the album covers and book covers for Will's books. And so many of you may have already seen some of her beautiful artwork. She's an accomplished flutist, a Waldorf teacher, a vegan coach, and an organic gardener. Together, she and Will have traveled over 50 states and 50 countries, sharing the vegan message with live audiences in 4,000 presentations over the past 30 years of their marriage. So this is huge. She is also a co-founder of the Prayer Circle for Animals Facebook, the circleofcompassion.org, and on the circleofcompassion.org is the noon prayer that is being said around the world. And we might hear that from Will and Madeline later. I want to briefly, just before I turn it over to Dr. Will and Madeline, I want to briefly list a few of the characteristics of the Homo Ahimsa life. Number 1, eat only plant-based. Well, Will and Madeline have done that for over 40 years. They have been vegan for over 40 years. Number 2, eat organic, and that is in order to not support the chemical industries that are polluting the earth and killing wildlife. And so they eat only organic, and they help others to understand how important that is. So that's number 2. Number 3, buy cruelty-free products. No leather, no silk, wool, feathers, no animal testing or slavery, animal slavery, I mean. and also buying fair trade to make sure we're not supporting human slavery. Well, Will and Madeline are wonderful examples of how to live simply and minimally without causing any exploitation. Number 4, we do our spiritual or inner work in order to let go of old false programs, shift the energy field of Earth toward love, and live the new vegan story as our true ahimsa selves. Will and Madeline have been related to this, have been meditators nearly their whole lives and have much to teach all of us about that. They continue their inner work daily, which is what we all need to be doing. That is what will get us all to enable us to express our true Homo ahimsa nature. And number 5, living in gratitude, awe, and amazement, and feel the joy that we are creating a world of love, peace, and freedom for all beings. Will and Madeline live this way every day. And when you do that, it's contagious. Millions of people have caught the vegan vision from Will and Madeline Tuttle. And now I would like to turn it over to this wonderful couple. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Judy, and thank you, Lisa. It was wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. We are honored and delighted to be able to share this way. Thank you, everyone, for joining in, and thank you, Sailesh, and everyone with the Climate Healers for helping to create this, the vegan convergence of the people, so we can gather like this. And, I guess we'd like to say a few words maybe and open it up also to any questions or comments that people might have. So thank you, Judy, for writing the book, A Homo Ahimsa, and helping to raise awareness about the fact that we need to evolve to a higher level of awareness as human beings if we're going to not create mayhem, not only for the animals, but for ourselves and for future generations. And it really comes down essentially to the treatment of animals. I think that's really the key of everything. Those of you who have read the World Peace Diet are aware of the message in that book. And we have this brand new book. I just got it the other day, Food for Freedom. And that takes the message, I think, a little bit deeper, that Madeline and I are interested in sharing with the world, that as long as we are going to insist on imprisoning and exploiting and force medicating and oppressing other animals, non-human animals, we're going to see the same thing boomeranging back on us. So thank you, Lisa, for mentioning the spiritual part also, because this really is a spiritual question. The problem underlying everything, and I won't talk too long, I just want to say a couple of things, is the materialism of animal agriculture, the 10,000 years that we've been owning wild sheep and then goats and then cows and then pigs and chickens and these other animals as property for food. I coined the term herderism for that. It's this herding mentality of owning other living beings as property instills in us as human beings a deep sense of materialism, that matter is all we are. Matter is all that animals are. Matter is all the earth is. And that mentality is devastating because it reduces our sense of respect and honor and kindness for other beings. We see them as interests to be used. Pretty soon we see other human beings that way. So it's really the driving force behind the social justice issues that we're facing, the wars and the disease, and the whole panorama of devastation, both environmentally as well as culturally and physically and psychologically and spiritually. It's all interconnected, but it comes back to this loss of the awareness of respect for other beings as consciousness and respect for ourselves as expressions of eternal and universal consciousness, that we're all related and that one life lives through all of us. And that's why I love Madeline's paintings so much, because her whole idea is to just show the spirit and the beauty of animals and nature and to celebrate that. So we can celebrate that. So to me, the whole vegan message is not a message of anger or of judgment or of criticism or of blaming or shaming. It's none of that. Veganism is really simply coming home to our own true nature, to our hearts, and seeing beings when we see beings and treating them as beings, not as matter, not as objects that you sell by the pound. It's coming back to our true nature, and it's nothing to be proud of. It's simply awakening from the mass consciousness, the mass hypnosis, this hypnotic trance that has been forced on all of us and has wounded all of us. So it's really about awakening out of that trance, and it's about healing from the wounds that we've all endured by being raised in this society, the violence that is done to little cows and other animals on dairy operations, and how they're abused is really mirrored in the violence done to little baby humans in many settings. And as we grow up, there's a lot of violence in our society that's rooted in our violence towards animals. We're not only eating violence, we're causing violence to ourselves. We're sexually abusing animals as children. We're sexually abusing humans as children. We see all these parallels. And so it's really essential that we get to the root of this instead of hacking away at the branches, as Thoreau said, to get to the root of our dilemmas. And that means to question animal agriculture as the fundamental driving force, the hidden fury that's really driving all of our dilemmas, and address that. And each one of us can do that. We can transform our own lives and our relationship with our food and with animals and with each other. And it really requires us to question all the official narratives in our society in regard to food and animals and disease and everything, really, our relationships with each other and with the natural world. And when we do that, we then begin to be part of the solution to the problems that we're having, rather than simply being part of the problem and exacerbating it by eating animal foods and seeing other beings as objects. So again, it's not something to blame anyone. It's simply to exemplify this as best we can. And I love how this whole Convergence is doing that, how Christspiracy is a manifestation of the same awareness that authentic spirituality calls us to question the narratives of violence, which are satanic. I mean, if you just look at the definition of satanic behavior, it's harming others for one's own benefit without any remorse, right? That's what it is. And that's what we do to animals billions of times every day. We're born into a satanic culture. And the world's spiritual traditions, all of them, call us out of that. Even though a lot of the religious traditions have lost some of their spiritual clarity, but the founders of the religions and the people, the visionaries within those religions, very often, had that awareness. And so it's up to us to rekindle that in our own consciousness and in our society today, especially because with the technology that we have now devoted to materialism, we are in a serious situation, because that technology, you can see what it's done to cows and pigs and chickens. It's turned their lives into a terrible hell with hyper confinement and genetic mutilation, horrible violence towards these animals through our technology. And that technology is turning on us the same exact way. And we're being turned into livestock, and we're being factory farmed more and more. And the tyranny is unfolding merely because we are insisting on inflicting that tyranny onto animals. The fundamental teaching in all the world's religions is the same. Whatever you sow, so shall you reap. So we're called to question the underlying narratives in our society and live this more and more. So thank you all for the efforts you're making. I want to really thank my wonderful partner, Madeline, for we've had the most amazing life, I have to say. I've been so blessed. I would say the smartest thing I ever did, besides going vegan, was marrying Madeline, or probably was marrying Madeline and then going vegan. I mean, it's really having the opportunity to work together on a mission is such a beautiful thing when we feel passionate about this. And I think the force of the universe is behind us, all of us. The wisdom and the energy and the love that is the source of all life is behind everything we're doing. When we are devoting our life to kindness and respect for other living beings and to creating an environment, a context for kindness and respect and for celebrating the beauty that's here. And one of the things that I realized about Madeline from the very beginning was how much she loves to savor the beauty of nature and the beauty of animals and the beauty of moments. And I think we should do that right this second, right now. You know, we can just savor this moment that we have together. Madeline and I have been so blessed really to know many of you. I know you're on this Zoom call, to have gotten to know you. Judy, of course, we're like longtime friends, and Lisa and Sailesh and many others who are here. And but that the friendships, I think, probably span multiple lifetimes and share a common mission that we have to rescue the earth from delusion. And it's critical that we remember our mission and that we live our mission. Because if we don't live our mission, we're living somebody else's delusion, and that's unsustainable, makes us unhappy, and it creates addiction. So the whole idea is to connect with our mission and connect with our inner guidance system, our inner intuitive wisdom. And I think that's really what veganism is. So I want to thank Madeline and all of you for your efforts, and just say, you know, no effort is ever lost. It all contributes, the drops into the big pot that is bringing us ever closer to Homo Ahimsa, to the next iteration of human beings. We have that. We are that. That is our true nature. It's not like we have to become some other being. We are Homo Ahimsa already. It's just we've forgotten. We've been hijacked. Our whole trajectory has been as soon as we're born, we're hijacked. So it's about remembering. So thank you all. And Madeline, do you want to add anything? And we're happy to
Yeah,
open it up also.
I like to. When I came over 32 years ago, I came from a celebration of animals, of the great food without eating carcasses and all that. And I came over, and pretty soon Will started giving talks, and then started writing the book. And then I felt this isn't really fun. It should be enjoyable. Veganism should be a life of joy, of beauty, of wonder, of celebration. So my thing was, since I was already an artist since small, I started adjusting my paintings from flowers and insects to more bigger animals, wild animals, and then farm animals. And I thought, I like to show them from the best side how they like to live. They have the same feelings like we have, the same life like we have, so they deserve the same pleasure and enjoyment, celebration. So I was avid to beautify this whole theme of veganism, of not eating this, not doing that, not, and you have to forget about everything you like, and now it's really very stern. Now you become a vegan, right? Yeah. So I thought, yeah, I painted and painted more and more, and did other crafts, and I just felt we have to beautify, go in nature and enjoy the beauty of nature. Nature is so amazing. It's like just a grass with all their variety of little, you know, there are these little things, they always go in the wind. They look like little hearts, these little, or they're all kinds of, and then we eat grasses in the grains. And that's the best food we can have, because that really nourishes us. And all the rest is garniture, the fruits, the vegetables, and the spices and the herbs. And it's like an immense variety. It's really a lifestyle to celebrate. So I like to live that, to celebrate and share it with all of you and the whole world.
Yay.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah,
We're sitting at the piano here.
Yeah,
So.
I think I would like to hear some questions if anybody has.
Or yeah, any questions? Mm-hmm.
And then we can
comments?
target more what you're interested in. Do we have questions?
Yeah.
Jay, do you have any guidance on the questions, since we had a little intrusion?
Patricia, people have raised their hands. So
yeah. I think
we're not going to let anybody come in. I think we're going to put Dr. Rao. Can you read the question? I open it up.
I'm here. Patricia. Let me ask.
We're not going to let anybody come in unless you know her.
I do know.
So we're going to just read the chat and not.
Okay. That sounds great. Thank you so much.
BJ,
it looks like Danny Kent says that she's interested in getting more involved in the World Peace Diet group and was wondering how to do that.
Yeah, so thank you. It's pretty easy. We have a page, worldpeacemastery.com. You can go to our main website, worldpeacediet.com, and you can click from there too. It has something in the menu for sharing these ideas with other people. And we have a first Thursday and a third Thursday Zoom call every month. We've been doing it now for 11 years. And I don't think we've missed hardly any. So the main one is the third Thursday. So it's a training. You can go through an online training to familiarize yourself with the deeper teachings of the World Peace Diet. And there's a 4-week or an 8-week or a 12-week. You can take your pick. And then from then on, you're free to join the third Thursday discussion group that we have every month, and with Q&A, and we talk about the issues. And then the first Thursday of every month actually is open to everyone on our Zoom, and it's a meditation. It's a 1-hour meditation, and the one on the third Thursday is about a 90-minute discussion. So you can definitely just go online and find out, or you can contact me through our website, worldpeacediet.com. And we do have, Will Tuttle, just my name.com. Madeline and I have our music and art there, and our schedule of upcoming events and videos and essays and all these things. And the new book, Food for Freedom, there's a website for that, foodforfreedom.net. And you can go there and find out more. Also, we're having, just to mention it, at 5 o'clock, we're very happy what's happened. The Food for Freedom book, which I held up before, just was released on Amazon a few days ago on Earth Day, and it's really doing well. I mean, it's selling a lot of copies, much more than I ever dreamed. It hit #1 in the category of vegan books on the 23rd, and it's back up #1 today. Again, it's been in the top 5 the whole time. It's really selling a lot. It's in the top 8, I think, in social philosophy books. There's like 30,000 books. These are big categories, and so it's #1. It's in the top 10 of quite a few categories, of several categories anyway. So that just means, from my point of view, that a lot of people are going to read these ideas or start talking about them or thinking about them, that we will never be able to liberate humanity until we liberate animals. I mean, that's it. We need to really get that, clearly, and that's what the new book is about. But the same thing really is the World Peace Diet. So we invite everyone to stay in touch with us. We're happy to work together online. Thank you.
Thank
And
you
I
so
like
much.
also saying that the circle, it's worldwide, and you can then kind of keep in contact with whomever you choose to converse during the year.
Right. Yeah, it's a great way to connect with other people, like-minded people.
Thank you so much. We do have a couple of people we could allow to ask questions, such as Monique Lukens is in our vegan community. It looks like there's another person with a hand. I know Court. It's a couple. It looks like.
Yeah.
It seemed like
trying to yeah. Can you unmute?
Yes, you're welcome to unmute. Thank you.
Okay.
I would like to mention another thing which I remember from Dr. Tuttle, that he plays the piano. He's a wonderful piano player. He played once for me also a song when I was meditating, about 20 minutes for at a macrobiotic cruise, which was wonderful. And I also want to mention that what you said about mission, that since my wife and I, Bianca and I, changed to vegan, we suddenly have the mission. We feel the mission to know what our destiny is. We are still old, we are in the 80s, but we still have our still a mission to do. So thank you very much. You're very well deserved. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a beautiful thing. I love your spirit. We're always on a mission in our 70s, 80s, 90s, and beyond, right? We're continuing to unfold and to ripen. I mean, it's really beautiful to see T. Colin Campbell just having his 90th birthday and traveling around and giving lectures. I think there's no reason for us to ever abandon. We can't abandon our mission, really. We always are on that, for sure.
We're married to it.
Right. Literally. Yeah.
Yes, a lifelong companionship with the mission and the both of you. How beautiful. It looks like Monique. I don't know if she would
Yes,
like to.
I'm here. Thank you. I apologize. I can't get the video on today, but I did interview you, Dr. Will, some years ago. I had a show called Dancing Under the Influence of Electronica. And so you were online, and I think that went over a New Jersey station too, college station community. But anyway, I'm in a teachers union, and I am going to have a vote on a motion that I created to end speciesism. Now, this is a huge union. Not many are vegan, but they often pass political type of motions, and I would love, if you're allowed, they would have to have a vote for you to speak. I'd love for you to speak 2 minutes to that. I can give you more information, but I did put it all in the chat. And I would just be honored if you would consider that. There's about 120 folks on there. I think that this union needs to be softened up a bit. It's pretty treacherous, and but the good thing is there are vegan meals in the actual school district, and I don't know if I should say the school district, but it's the second largest in the United States. So yeah, that was my question.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, it's such an important thing to bring the vegan message wherever we can, for sure. And it's just a matter of finding ways to do it that don't create more enemies. We have to learn how to bring the message in a way that is constructive and positive and works into the way people can, as an educational skill. I guess, in Buddhism, there's a term upaya, which means skillful means. So we have to work skillfully, and we have to embody, I think, what veganism is as loving kindness and compassion for animals and for each other, and shine the light of truth and show people that we can thrive. I mean, here we are. I mean, I've been a vegan now since 1980. And health-wise, I didn't do it for my health. I really did it for animals and for hungry people. But I haven't gone to a drugstore since 1980 for anything. I mean, it's kind of, people say, well, that's impossible. I mean, if you're in your 70s, and Madeline's the same way, we're in our 70s, and usually people are on at least 4 or 5 medications or some ridiculous thing. And so the good news is that on every level, it's a win. And so, again, instead of criticizing people, just to show the positive, like Madeline said, the delicious, amazing beauty of plant-based foods, the joy of being in harmony with nature, of loving and appreciating animals and each other, the inner peace that comes from knowing that we're not causing suffering, that we're doing our best to reduce suffering, and shining the light of kindness and caring to children. It's just, children would naturally flow right along with this. They're wounded and pushed in the opposite direction. So, I think there's no greater, more important gift we can give to the world at this time than to each one of us find our unique way of sharing this message. Like, what is our niche? What is our way into sharing this message? Because each one of us has unique gifts and talents and abilities, and each one of us has our own karmic situation that we're in, and so use it. And if everyone does that, if we can, I mean, really, if each one of us, if every human being could just share these ideas in a way that would help one other person go vegan, then the whole planet would go vegan, right? I mean, it's just a matter of just sharing the idea in a loving way. And I think the most important thing is, as you've probably heard me say before, is not so much what we say, it's how we say it, and it's who we are when we're saying it. We speak through our being much more than through arguing and trying to convince people. So it's really how we treat people is the most important thing. Ahimsa means kindness for animals and for each other, and embodying veganism as loving kindness for everyone in our life. That's the foundation of everything. That's it. I mean, there's nothing more important than that. We're only here for a few years, a few short years. They go by very quickly, and then we're gone. So what's gonna matter is how we treat each other and how we treat animals and how we live what ahimsa is, which is loving kindness for all expressions of life.
I would love for you to say that to them. So I put the information in the chat. I'll go through your website and I'll give it
Yeah,
to
we
you
can
that
stay
way.
in touch about the actual possibilities. Sure, no problem. Definitely.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
You may not want to be looking at the chat right now.
Right. Later.
Yes, please
Thanks.
disregard the chat at this moment.
It got deleted, but anyway, it means that we have arrived, because they're fighting us now.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, so I think there were a couple of questions in the chat earlier, and one of them was about how to approach people with the vegan message.
Well, what Madeline said, I think it's, I've been saying it a little bit also, is to get over the idea, really, that we're right and they're wrong. That basic idea, like, I'm vegan, so I'm right. I mean, no doubt about it. I'm right, and you're not a vegan, you're wrong. No doubt about it. That's the underlying dynamic, and people don't like that. I mean, if someone came up to me and with this attitude, like, I'm right, you're wrong, I'm going to try to make you like me, then the natural healthy response to that is to sort of put up your dukes and fight back. That's a healthy thing, to resist that. And so the vegan movement has made little progress in many ways because we're still in materialism. We're still wounded by materialism. We still think that we're matter, they're matter. We're going to try to change them and market the message somehow. And it's not a marketing thing. It's about living a life of awareness, mindfulness, consciousness, And out of that awareness, letting our whatever we say and write and do come out of that. And when we're living this, we'll attract people. Otherwise, we're trying to push things on them. And so I think the most important thing is what Gandhi said. He talked about satyagraha, which means truth power, that each one of us share our own truth without blaming or criticizing anyone else. And the underlying truth is the same for everyone. All of us, like if I say, the only reason I ate animal foods all those years that I did was because I was just following orders. And I realized those were not in my best interest. I'm not doing it anymore. It's fantastic. That basic truth is true for everyone. Everyone who is eating animal foods is only doing it because they're following orders. And people know deep down that it's not in their best interest. It's not in the best interest of animals or ecosystems or anyone. Hungry people, there's a whole range of trauma that's inflicted. And so when we exhibit ourselves basically by speaking our own truth, that we're an example of this and it's fantastic, then we've just opened the prison door for that person on some level without in any way criticizing them, but just showing them that we've left and we're happy and we're thriving. And when we do that, we've planted a seed, and that's the beautiful thing. So instead of trying to change people, just plant seeds effectively by living this. And that's why I'm really glad Judy mentioned something that Madeline and I think is very important, which is to have time every morning, for example. We each take 3 hours, get up in 3 hours for spiritual practice. And that's the most important thing, to take time to meditate and go within and do some study perhaps, and listen internally and connect with what we are beyond being a doing, being a being. And that creates the possibility, I think, for inspiration to arrive into our consciousness and for new ideas and insights to emerge. And it's really those insights that emerge so that we can live our unique life, have our unique message, the way we bring it. I think the vegan movement essentially is really a leaderless movement, where each one of us is the ambassador of compassion and kindness. Each one of us, as we unfold this in our lives, is unstoppable. It's an unstoppable message, because it's based on truth, and truth is unstoppable ultimately. So, but we need to live it. We need to question everything in our own thoughts that goes against it. Every time I judge or criticize someone or blame or attack or any of these things, and this is what happens. We can go vegan in the outer world and not eat meat, dairy, or eggs, or wear products tested on wool, on animals, and no rodeos and circuses. We can do all that, and that's great. But if we still have this mentality of fear and domination and attacking and separation, we're not living veganism. Veganism is ahimsa, which is nonviolence. It's a high calling, and it's really it's beautiful. I mean, it draws us higher and higher. And there's no limit to it, really, ultimately, to the heights that we can reach of understanding and freedom and joy and creativity. And when we do that, we help everyone around us. So I think it's really about living this and then letting the words that come to us, and it's the way we say it more than what the words actually are. And together we are making a difference. But we have to remember that there certainly are momentous forces in the other direction. We know that. So we have to put up a lot. We have to put a lot of effort, I think, into maintaining a high state of vibration. I would say that, right? I mean, we talk about this quite a bit. Like we're being bombarded with toxic chemicals in the air, in the water, pharmaceutical drugs, EMF fields, toxic messaging on everywhere, billboards, media, phones. I mean, we're being poisoned. We're being attacked. That's happening. So, but the important thing is that we maintain our own high level of vibratory awareness so that we don't let that pull us down.
And this only happens through practice.
Right. Practicing loving kindness and compassion. Just practice radiating love and kindness and compassion all the time. Practice giving thanks every moment, every morning. And as we go through, just give, even things happen that are like, oh, terrible thing. I mean, I couldn't figure out yesterday how to hook up the battery in our RV right. And I was like, oh man. But then Madeline said, well, you know, what can you be grateful for in this? And I thought, yeah, I can be grateful for this. I figured it out. But, you know, the challenges, we could be grateful for challenges. I mean, we go to a gym, and we don't want to walk into a gym and have all of the heaviest weight is only 2 pounds or 3 pounds, right? You want to have some heavy weights so you can get strong. Well, that's what Earth School is. Earth School, you can have heavy weights here. You know, there's big heavy weights, and that's not a bad thing. That's how you get strong muscles, is working ethically in a situation that is demanding to work for our own health and liberation of other living beings. That's, you know, come here into veganized planet Earth, that you have to build up some internal capacity, and that's really why we're here. So I think it's really important to have a bigger view than just this one lifetime.
Well, thank you so much, Will. That is the perfect concept to close on. I just love that so much, this idea of doing the heavy lifting and that we're getting stronger because of it. And our movement is getting stronger. And because of the two of you, our vegan spiritual movement is growing and expanding. And we're just super grateful to both of you.
Thank you. I'd like to just quickly remind everyone, some people may not be aware of it, but in exactly, let's see, 1 hour at 5 o'clock, we'll be having a book launch gathering on our Zoom page for Food for Freedom, and we'll be talking all about this more in depth. And I'll play a little music, but the main idea is to join us, and it's just if you want to write it down, or I can put it in the chat. It's just go to Zoom, and it's meeting ID is 707-207-5020. I'll put that down, 707-207-5020. And there's no password or anything. But please join us if you can, and it'd be great to see you at 5 o'clock on Zoom.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much to Will and to Madeline. It was delightful to hear from both of you. And we're just thrilled that you got this award. It was voted on by the members of our coalition, and we had about 47 members who voted for this. So it was meant to be this year. Thank you so much. And thanks to Judy.
Yes.
An honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. And I did mention earlier that you all are co-founders of the Worldwide Prayer Circle, which encourages everyone to say this simple, short prayer every day at noon, or if you forget, anytime works. And it's been translated into around 30 languages now. It's on the circleofcompassion.org website. And we could maybe close do we have time to say it at least one time?
Yeah.
Yes, go for it.
Okay.
Compassion encircles the earth for all beings everywhere.
And then
That's it. Compassion encircles the earth for all beings everywhere. And so it is.
Namaste, vegan love. Thank you all so much. And thank you to Sailesh.
This has been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on the planet with us.
Yeah, you too, Dito.
Okay.
Yeah, this is open mic now. My apologies for all the Zoom bombing that happened, but at least that means that the powers that be who have this war room in Colorado have noticed us.
Yeah, it was a big crowd.
Right.
I'm wondering if we could maybe not go live on this part, because we might have some people still in here that shouldn't be, that are bombing us.
Oh.
What do you think? Yeah, I don't know everybody here.
Yeah, it's all right. We'll see. Watch.
Okay.
Oh yeah, thank you. So this is open mic. So I would like to make a presentation for 5 minutes, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for having me. Great presentation so far.
Can you come on screen though? Would you mind? Sorry for the interruption.
Nope, I am not.
Okay, no problem. But you want to share?
No, I can just talk.
You just talk? Okay, no problem.
Yep. So here is, I'm really appreciative of all the work being done, and I've attended multiple of your presentation and others' presentation, and it's good. It's good information, but it's also in course of time I have gotten more and more dissatisfied and disillusioned with certain endeavors, and I'm going to give you some of the reasons from my understanding of why the project may not be going optimal or in a right direction. First and foremost is that a good sign of leadership is that it encourages dissent. Because otherwise, many of such groups get into groupthink or cult-like behavior where there is just praise for the emperor with no clothes, and nobody wants to say, hey, we are on the Titanic, and actually the leadership is naked and its emperor has no clothes. So, and at times I felt in certain similar groups when I have mentioned a different opinion, then I'm being harassed and people don't want to listen or have me kicked out of the meetings and such like that. So that's not leadership. And I think the leadership needs to actively not only encourage dissent, but also have an operational plan to incorporate dissent, because we need different perspectives. Otherwise, we know that what Mr. Watson coined the term veganism, 60, 70 years back, and still vegans are 5% at most, and vegans are the second most hated people after terrorists. One of the things which I find in certain groups, these groups, which mars this leadership is self-promotion. And a lot of people are there, there's greed in each one of us, including myself, and they're promoting their own books, they're promoting their own self, or cloud chasers, and they just want to do self-promotion under the guise of veganism or a self-justice movement, and that mars it. And we need to actively call out these people who are just in this movement for self-promotion, because otherwise people who are actively promoting the social justice movement are going to get dissuaded, because the self-promoters are going to get their own screen time, their own presentation spots, and it's going to be dissuading other people from genuinely supporting our vegan movement. And you can see adherence to non-science related, calling fortune tellers, and more time being given to anti-vaxxers, people who don't have scientific basis. And Dr. Rao, I appreciate your paper. And that's why I have so much respect for you, is because you adhere to science. And when we have people who promote non-scientific methods like anti-vaxxers or calling to psychics as relying on them, then it basically dissuades or discounts the credibility of such organization. And we need to also recognize the role of privilege. And for a lot of people who have privilege, it might be easier for them to be anti-vaxxers or resort to calling psychics and other non-scientific measures and still have anecdotal evidence behind their course being successful. But overall, as you very well emphasized, Dr. Rao, we need to stick to science. Another thing I noticed is there is no call for antinatalism. Veganism and antinatalism goes hand in hand, because we need to be monitoring our footprint, and that includes our offsprings. And if we have special group which give privilege to people who have multiple kids or grandkids, then then the cause for veganism is dissuaded, right? It's slighted. And I personally find it that some of these conferences have lost touch of reality. We have a huge genocide going on. We have a Gaza war, we have Ukraine war, and there is nothing mentioned. And the military industrial complex is hell-bent on preserving itself. And not only raising climate crisis, but also sort of defeating all other social justice movements, but preserving itself. So there needs to be a touch of reality based onto it. And sadly, I find the vegan community not speaking out against this major atrocities going on right in front of our very eyes. And I listened to your presentation earlier, Dr. Rao, and the Delhi railroad project was successful not only because of the engineer, Mr. Sridharan, he was pivotal, but also there was help from other people, like Japan, Germany had an active role to play in the success of the Delhi metro system. So you can't just attribute that just one engineer made it a success. And as you know, for an organization to be successful, we have multiple people working in conjunction under the leadership. But then, like when you see an ant colony being successful, it's not one engineer or one ant making it successful. It's the whole ant colony making it successful. There's a lot of ants who sacrifice themselves literally to make that ant colony successful. Another aspect I see is missing is operational. We have an existing animal slaughter industry, which is very well delved deep into capitalistic society. So they are very operational. They have the infrastructure. We don't have a parallel infrastructure, nor do we have any operational plans to transition from a very well-established structure to a new structure, like vegan structure. I'm all in line with having that structure established, but we don't have the transition plan. We don't have the personhood for the animals plan. We don't have any status for legal change, any policy change. I know Anita had mentioned about plant-based treaty, and I felt some of the places which have signed plant-based treaty is just like having an Arbor Day declaration. There is no teeth to it. There is no operational cogs in place to enforce it so that the thing can be operationalized and monitored. So those are some of my thoughts. I wanted to mention that I have spent almost a decade of my life onto this, and sadly getting disillusioned and getting burned out with sort of the utopian message for a vegan world when there is no operational excellence built into it, and also the leadership being corroded by folks like who are self-promoting or not managing dissent. So thanks for listening. Back to you, Dr. Rao.
Thank you, Watch. Reverend Betla.
I'm not able to start my video and
hold on a second. Yeah, sorry about that. Let me fix that thing.
It's actually okay. Well, no, yeah, go ahead and let me start it if you don't mind.
Fixed now.
Okay. Alrighty. So the original reason I raised my hand is a moot point, but I just I might not be the only person in the room whose nervous system got stirred up by what happened that was not planned by the organizers, and I might not be the only person who got a very, very long string of obscene texts. So I just thought might be good for all of us to just take a deep breath together, and maybe I can speak a few words. Good. So if you will, and if it's interesting to you, just put your feet firmly on this beautiful earth that is so worthy of great stewardship through your floor or whatever, and let's take a deep cleansing breath together. Let's take another deep, deep cleansing breath. We allow that breath to bring us back to that place of safety, that place of knowing that there is a power for good in the universe that is holding us, that is caring for us, that is everywhere, present, infinite, and eternal, that can never be upset, that can never be hurt or harmed or hindered in any way. And we just take a moment to send a word to our inner children who might have gotten stirred up, and to anyone in this room or in this universe that might have felt the vibration of that violence and been perturbed by it. And we just know and trust that, as Dr. Rao says, this means that we're making progress, that people are attacking us. And so we become stronger at staying centered in the midst of the storm, no matter what the storm brings. We become more flexible, more capable. We nurture these capabilities in our everyday lives to stay centered in the midst of any storm, so that when these sorts of things happen, we can think clearly and we can continue to move forward. And we don't feel our brains going into trauma mode. And so I know and trust that there is enough love in this room, enough grace in this room, enough ease in this room, enough comfort, enough safety, that the loving arms of God, by whatever name, are enfolding all of us, this whole proceeding, and each one of us individually. And if any person is still in this room that came with the intention to disturb or to stir up problems, I'm just going to bless them, and I'm going to thank them, and I'm going to say, we love you too. For veganism is about love. It's about compassion. It's about embracing all. And I'm just going to know that as we love fully enough, then anything and everything that is unlike that love cannot stand in our experience. And so whoever that is in this room, if there still is somebody here, they're either going to catch this vibration of love and join us, or they're just going to leave because they're not having enough fun. One or the other. We are open. We are open, we are flexible, we are available, and we are trusting in the one source of all good. Thank you, beloved one. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's just take another deep cleansing breath. Let's let it out. Take another breath. Let it out. And if anyone here is still feeling stirred up, I'm just going to encourage you to do whatever it is that you're guided to do to take care of yourself in this moment. And there are others here who will support you as well. And so we'll just send our support out. We'll send our love to anyone and everyone who's still stirred up. We know that this word has been heard. We now know, like every word, that the one who has created all always says yes and only yes. And so we know it's in the capable care of the creator of all life, and we leave it there in absolute faith and trust and deep, deep gratitude, knowing that this or something better now manifests. Thank you, thank you, thank you, beloved. And so it is. We can take another deep breath and come back.
Thank you, Reverend. Alessandro?
Thank you. Can I speak?
Yes, please.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Well, and thank you very much for all the work you have been doing today and all the time. I'm sorry, but my English is very limited. In the last month, I have been working with the topic that is that in 8 countries in the world, the Catholic religion, the Catholic Curie, supports actively bullfight. And I think this is something quite different to other places, because sometimes the religions, well, the structure of the religion is tolerant against the animal abuse. But in this case, the structure of Catholic Church is really proactive with animal abuse. They had last month, they have a meeting of priests and chaplains in that think to support bullfight is to be nearer to God. And this is something really strange. And I have been I have been working in an article that have been translated in French and in English, and I would like to put the link in the chat because it was incredible because I tried to interview people to Catholic authorities all over the world in many languages, in many countries. And I had a wonderful support from outside the 8 countries where the bullfight is still legal. But in Spain, it was impossible to have just one answer from somebody that is related to Catholic Church. And it was something really, I think my analysis is that there is a real gap between Christians, between Catholics, believers, and the structure of the church. Somebody from England told me a very clear image that the Catholics in the world are almost 1,600 millions, but the Curie are just 408,000 people. It's a very small representation, but they make so much noise, they have so much power that in the brain, in the imagination of the people, really they are the Catholic Church, and that's not true. I think the Catholics in the world are more or less against animal abuse, but the Catholic Church, the structure, even the Vatican, is really pro-animal abuse, and they make politics to support animal abuse. If the chat can be open, I would like to share the link to my article in English, and so everybody can have a tool to work against the support of a very small part, but very powerful part of the Catholic Church that supports the bullfight. And thank you. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Alessandro. I opened the chat and also put a quote from Pope Francis in Laudato Si.
It's not still open for me. Yes. Okay. Yes. But I think everybody here is against the bullfight, so we don't need to talk about that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Juan Batista.
Yes, hello, Dr. Ra. Hello to everybody. First of all, I want to thank you for this event, for this opportunity. I have to say I'm a Colombian. I live in Peru now, and I've been promoting veganism for a while in different ways. But this event has, I think, give me a boost about keep taking action, more about peace and more to spread the peace message. I believe that's what got me into veganism, but I believe sometimes I derive into more the healthier sustainability part because of what people want to hear. But I'm a firm believer that everybody wants peace at the end. So just want to share with everybody here if there's anything you want to spread or any activity you want to do in Spanish-speaking countries, Latin America or Spain, please get in touch. I could leave my email in the chat. Actually, Alison and Ken who are also in Peru, where I live. It's the reason why I'm here. They told me about this event. I want to thank them for this. Just want to put myself for service and just tell everybody that I'm thinking of ideas how to keep taking action. So that's it. Blessings to you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. BJ?
Thank you. Thank you. I know I get to speak a lot, so I'll try to keep it short, but I just loved Jordy's, well, I loved all the things, but when Jordy talked about games uh, that people could play for strategies, I think that might be a number of vegans have different opinions about what we should be doing, and I'm thinking maybe a game about that would be really good because, of course, then you have to take in what that person's style is and everything. But I have been thinking along those lines ever since I was charged up by this morning's talk about games, and that's really what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, BJ. Shankar? We cannot hear you, even though you're not muted.
Am I audible now?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, I want to say thank you to the Climate Healers team. Definitely another milestone in the march. So amazing, like definitely. And the theme was even amazing in a sense. Gaming theme, I heard it like I never expected the amount of discussion or the way the topic was dissected and taken into other areas. Uh, it's like I'm seeing how it is relevant to each of the sector or each of the issues and everything. And yes, I see this as definitely a simulation tool more than that. And then the people do come up with a lot of experience, and there is a mindful analysis done. And this is behavior side, and definitely the teams or the side of the games coming as a team and playing together, and the dynamics, it takes us the other way. Yeah, and also want to add a couple of points. Yes, overall the session kind of balanced in all the sides from the presentations. It's still I have to go and reflect and learn a lot. I was trying to absorb, but I would say I would try to do my justice and do it over a time. Then again, one thing I know some comments came in the group. I want to say, like, I was thinking, this was even thinking, there is nothing like a self-promotion or anything, because first I identify as an individual, then I identify my family, then I identify my profession. Then of course, I'm going to talk about what I do or how I interact with others. So without that, even if I'm not there, even the name of this event won't even have a name. So that's normal, and people are spending their time thinking about what they do. They will talk about that. So it's next to, and we are all connected by passion more than family. Obviously, we will talk what we are doing. So being in different corners of the world. So that's what I see. Like if within family, we can talk about, okay, you're going to go get grocery, you're going to get God, that's fine. But if I'm going to talk to somebody whom I know, what do you do? How was your day? This is what you're planning for next. Interesting. How can I be with you? We can do meet exactly the dates, time, when, where, why. So absolutely with the promotion in the sense is, yes, it's all lines up with the veganism. Veganism is not as small as what you can contain this. Compassion is not as small. It is beyond, it is bounty, it is abundance. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Shankar. Paige?
Hi, such a great COP. I was in and out. I've been visiting my daughter in college. She and I were on a hike yesterday, and she brought something up. She knows I was participating in part of this. She said, "Mom, I really think the only way we're going to reach a lot of people, the only way will be, is once they see the climate crisis actually will affect them. I don't believe people are making the connection to the animals, unless they do, but it's not on a majority. I think when you're talking about people like her age, she's 23. So we didn't get a chance I didn't get a chance to really ask her, like, what would that look like? But I have a film that I am creating, and it is to reach young people 23 with peer-to-peer. So having spoken on a panel at Harvard University, I really see we're showing these films that show a lot of adults. And so my film is specifically youth and young adults, peer-to-peer. So that's the premise of my film. But I also wanted to say that even in the vegan movement, we are seeing people have different ideas of the way things ought to be done. And I think the most important thing I'm left with out of this COP is let's maybe working together isn't your thing, but working on what is important to you is. So if something isn't working for you in a group setting, perhaps it's time to work on something on your own and create your own community, perhaps, that people that are, you know, on the same wave as you are, rather than, I see there's a lot of criticism from people these days, and we're all humans. So that's what I wanted to say, is that human beings, we criticize each other and we judge each other. I love the high vibration, so I'm going back there. The Homo Himsa vibration. So thank you so much, everybody who worked on this, all the speakers, everyone. I really appreciate it. And if you'd like to know more about this film, or if you'd like to be involved, please reach out. I'm very excited about this. I'm creating a team together. So I'm not really reading the messages because I'm driving, but you can find me. I'm all over social media, my name and everything like that. So we can work together. I really would love that. Okay, I'm going to continue driving and listening. Bye. Thank you.
Drive safely, Paige. Monique?
Yes, I want the high vibes too. This goes to Miss Page with regards to this hot topic of climate change. I'm sure some of you, if not all of you, know that there is a way to manipulate weather, and we do need to speak about that as well, because the forces that are coming at us, they're attempting to say that animals are the cause of the pollution, and then they're slaughtering them, and no one's even consuming them. I am a spiritual epiphany vegetarian since 2001, vegan since 2006. 2009, learned about raw and organic, and I'm so happy that Dr. Will talked about organic, because many times people think that that doesn't have to do with the animals, but it does. Not just for us consuming, but for them, because they're on the land. So my idea, think about it, is to, if you don't know too much, look up, weather manipulation, look up Agenda 2030. And please know that I have known for a long time about the belches of the animals. Like, I had to come up with different reasons that I was vegetarian, besides the ultimate reason, because we love the animals. So I've known about this, and I'm not a denier, but I do know, as Dr. Will said, there are forces coming against us. We don't know who these people or entities are. So please incorporate that into your conversations, because there are a lot of truthers out there that spoke about what happened since 2020, and they are not happy with us vegans. So we need to include the whole truth together and keep high vibes, because many of us are being dragged down. I know I am. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you. High vibes.
Thank you, Monique. Reverend Betla.
Thanks, Dr. Rao. Yeah, Paige's sharing reminded me that the organization I run, Eat for the Earth, is also making a movie. And it's kind of similar in some way that we're speaking to a particular population through the voices of that population. And we serve in our county, Santa Cruz County, California, we have a program, an immersion program, where we primarily serve Latinos with very low incomes, and we're helping them turn their health around, at least get on track in 2 weeks. And we do biometric testing beginning and end, and they can see the difference. They can feel the difference in their bodies. And we're working with a filmmaker. We found a filmmaker who has a lot of experience with the population, and our program coordinator she is Latina, and she has contacts all over Latin America and North America. And so we're making a movie that's geared toward that population to help them understand the power of plant-based diets, not just to reclaim their health, but also to decolonize their diets. And we just recognize that films like Christspiracy, Cowspiracy, What the Health, Plant Pure Nation, all those films, when we have a potluck and I ask the question, how'd you get on this path? So many people say, I watched this film. And there's never been a film made in Spanish focusing on Latino culture and food. So we were having a staff meeting one day. We realized that, and we're like, it has to be done. It has to be done. We've never made a film, but we found a great filmmaker, and we're making good progress on the film treatment plan, and we'll be ready to start moving forward on it soon. So just wanted to let people know that's in the works. And if this is of interest to you to get involved, I will put my contact information in the chat, and we'd love to hear from you.
And Beth, I encourage you to get in touch with Juan, who just spoke from Peru. He's also working on a film in Spanish.
The one who was speaking about the bullfighting?
No, he put his email address in the chat. It's Juan Bautista.
Oh, Juan. Yeah, I saw that. I'll get in touch with him. Yeah, it looks like. What?
I think Alessandro was also involved, but I'm not 100% sure. But yes,
okay.
Juan.
Yeah, I'll definitely reach out to Juan. That'd be great. Yeah, and we're focusing on it. The film is going to primarily focus on the health aspects, not so much the veganism, but I'm sure there will be a place for that in it as well. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Reverend Beth. I recall vaguely that there was a Telemundo documentary, I think, on this topic way back, maybe 3-4 years ago. I remember watching it. It was all in Spanish. DJ?
Oh, thank you. I wanted to say something about promotion, because that word means so many different things in so many different times and settings. And I think there is a place to not promote also. So, for instance, if it's someone else's talk and you're there and you just can hardly stand it because you want to tell them about your stuff, that's, not the time. It's their time. It's the speaker's time. And it's just hard. Sometimes I think it's hard to tell because we're bubbling with excitement about what we're doing and what we want to do. But this is a perfect opportunity to do that in the open mic session. And I don't know how many times we have done that in other sessions, but I really appreciate feedback, and y'all let us know what you think about this convergence. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Nancy?
Thank you. Thank you. I don't know if you could see me, but you can.
Yes, we
Okay.
can.
Now I can see me. I would like to promote a way of evangelizing that I think works pretty well. I have a list of films that I hand out, and there's like on Netflix and on YouTube, and on the bottom you can see Christspiracy, and it's a kind of shotgun, sorry for the expression, a shotgun approach. And it's just really, I just offer. I just say, can I give you this leaflet to inspire you? I use the word inspire you to go plant-based vegan and for your health, for the animals, and to save our planet. And then I kind of highlight whatever, and there are books on the back of this, and so that's one thing. I do it on the trains, I do it on the buses, I do it down the streets, I do it on my bicycle. Go vegan! And it may sound kind of like haphazard. I also videotape. I just take out my little cell phone and I videotape anybody who says, "Oh, I'm vegan," or "Yeah, I'll take it, but I'm vegan already, 8 years, whatever, 2 years, 1 month." And then I videotape them and I put it on my YouTube channel. And one of the things on my YouTube channel is I'm sorry, one of the things on my film list is my YouTube channel. So so people can see themselves saying that, and also see people, like I live in Spanish Harlem, Black Harlem, and so I want everyone to see themselves. Like, yeah, there's somebody who's female, male, racially the same, ethnically, I mean, not native born, indigenous, whatever, some diverse person, because we all are, talking about, I went vegan and why and when and what inspired me. And recently it was just somebody who said, well, actually, it was you who inspired me. I saw some of the films on your list and that was it. And I think that a lot of people who say they're vegan, especially in my neighborhood, which is where I do it every time I take my spiritual morning run to the sun and do some prayer work there. And every time I bike in the afternoon, I bike around the neighborhood park, then I will, jump off my bike and go, I'll speak in Spanish or English. I'll ask which they prefer and offer the film list. And if they don't want it, I'll just say, well, I just encourage you to go plant-based vegan, to eliminate meat, dairy, and eggs. I just encourage them. So it's what I call vegangelizing. And that's what I would encourage everyone to do. That's about it. I really appreciate this forum. In terms of other ways, like that's one way, and then I have my YouTube channel, I have a TV show, I have my vegan t-shirts reaching out for animal rights. And I and once I finish writing my memoir, which I hope will come soon. It's been a long trudge. Then I just encourage other people. Like, I think comedy is great, and there are ways of, this is a very heavy duty topic. There's a lot of fear around changing and around what happens to the animals. So I think comedy is a great form to use to dissipate the fear through laughter. Comedy, musicals, songs, and putting them up on YouTube and having a YouTube channel is not that hard. So I encourage people to do that as well. And I have a newsletter and a Substack and blah, blah, blah. Okay. Thank you so much. Everybody's been very informative, illuminating. I saw Christspiracy the fourth time, and it's better every single time. So it's more, there's more I can absorb and take in. Paritz means the violent one. Okay, thanks again. I really appreciate it. And onward.
Thank you, Nancy.
Just a quick hit before Allison goes on. I just wanted to say that was a great expression of your activism. And we have Movement Mondays where we get on Zoom every Monday to talk about our activism. So we'll share the link for it and hope to see you on Monday. Allison.
Yeah, thanks, Ray. I'm sitting here we still have one more presentation left, experiencing the power of this convergence. And having just watched Christspiracy, and I would love to have many of you come to Movement Monday. And I think we can discuss some conclusions that we can draw from this convergence. Specifically, I think we'd like to show Christspiracy again. There are many, many conclusions I can think of off the bat. But yeah, let's see what we can learn and harvest from this convergence. And I think you're right, Ray. Movement Mondays would be a great place to have those conversations. So anyway, those are my words in this open mic session. Just wow, what an impactful convergence this has been so far. And Ray, thanks for your contribution to it. Wonderful.
2 different times on Monday.
Yeah, my husband in the background is reminding me that we have 2 Movement Monday events on Mondays. So you have a morning opportunity and an evening opportunity to join in. Thank you.
I'll just say you can go to the Climate Healers webpage, and under the tab For You, scroll down and there's a calendar. And that way you can see the times. They're in Eastern times, and you can see the other meetings that are going on also. So that's at the Climate Healers website.
And it's spelled and pronounced Movement Mondays. MOO.
Yes. Yes.
Michael, let's go.
So if somebody needs to unmute him, is that right?
Oh.
Okay. Can you hear me guys now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Hi, everybody. I haven't been able to log in until just now. Just wanted to say a quick hi. I've been busy planning big animal rights events for Anonymous for the Voiceless. We're actually just 6 days away from AV United, which is our first big campaign this year. And also been busy with some cats. I can show you the cats. So AV United is the idea behind it is that many chapters, or just 2 or 3 chapters, unite in a city and get activists together. It's sort of kind of like a boot camp, and it's a great opportunity to network. 4 activists to do a bigger event together in a city where it makes sense, obviously, where there's a lot of foot traffic. And yeah, we're planning another huge event in August this year in Amsterdam. It's going to be 1 month of cubing, 10 hours a day. So that's going to be a huge event. And then we'll have a few other bigger events all over Europe. And so anybody who's interested, go to our website, anonymousforthevoiceless.org, and join also any chapters that you are nearby. Even if you're traveling, join a Facebook group. We have come a long way. We have perfected our outreach protocol to such extent that now at every cube I veganize at least 1 or 2 people, which is just simply amazing. And sometimes it takes 2 to 3 minutes to have a conversation with them. So, and let me show you my cats. They're kind of anxious to be seen. I don't know. Here. This cat, this is Willie. He's a guy, and he's so intelligent. He sort of apports items to me. So he fetches and brings them, and this is his favorite toy. It's just a aluminum ball. He knows he's being filmed, so but he's just playing like crazy with this ball. And this is Lily. Lily, say hi. Say hi to the world. Now she's a little smaller. They're 5 months old, but both of them brothers and sisters. But she's just smaller, but she's the cutest kid. Very intuitive. And Willie, yeah, he lost his ball. So yeah, and as far as music goes, I've been a little low on the music because I've been so busy with Anonymous for the Voices, but it's coming up. I have some new ideas for new vegan songs, and Sarah and I have been talking about producing songs. So it's coming up. Maybe next time I can present something new.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah. Okay, I tell you what, I loved seeing Christspiracy again, and we got to see a little glimpse of Keith Akers in there. It was so good. I can hardly wait till our next speaker. Keith Akers will be here. He's already here, but he'll be speaking soon. Okay, let's see. Are there any other short comments? We have a little bit of time. I want to say I've really enjoyed yesterday also so much. Oh, go ahead. And did somebody else want to say something?
I did actually. Can you
Oh,
hear
yes,
me?
Danny. Yes.
Yeah. I'm having a really hard time. I feel like I don't live with any vegans. I don't live in a vegan community. And I still get very upset when I see the harm and the cruelty and the arrogance, and I end up being depressed. I mean, like, I'm depressed that this is going on and I have no control over it, and it gives me angst. So I just wanted to reach out to the community. Here we are at a VCOP, and I'm really looking for support groups, I guess. Some place where I could go and get just encouraged to stay the course and get some upliftment out of it. I mean, today was just the participation is what gets me uplifted, when I see the participation. But I can't, ask Ray. Everything I have to watch has to be rated G. I just can't take it. It just really disturbs me. So yeah, anybody have any suggestions, or I'm reaching out to everyone to really to get some support so I can be a little more resolute about what I'm doing and on a positive note. Thank you.
Danny, I'd combine those two things. We had so many people here today, and I know that you've been exposed to some very very traumatic stuff, but we've all kind of witnessed it with you. And I'm kind of taking this from the Save movement, where we say that we never bear witness alone. We're all bearing witness together. Bearing witness isn't something that you should do alone, and I know that doesn't quite help when you're isolated geographically from everybody else, but we're all here, and I hope that we feel like a family after these events. And it shouldn't stay just in this event. It should be continuing on till tomorrow and next week and till next quarter when we're doing this again.
Thank you, Ray. You're the best. I say that in all honesty. You've really been a great supporter. Thank you.
You're the best.
Danny, I put a link in the chat for an animal activist helpline that In Defense of Animals runs that.
Right. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Sure.
I know she would love to see some of you on that Movement Monday sometimes. Okay, is it time? Oh.
Go ahead, Paige. You have 6 minutes.
Okay.
I was just on that note, there is a once a month, I believe, Zoom that you can attend, any one of us, through the Interfaith Coalition led by Lisa Levinson. So I think that is a beautiful group. I've participated. It might be in the middle of the night for you, depending upon where you are in the world, but it's definitely worth dropping in to get that support. And you can have your screen off or on. So
thank you, Paige. Thank you.
You bet.
I also reached out to you, and I love you back.
It's great to have you back in the community with us. Appreciate it.
Sweetheart. Appreciate you.
Thank you for support this whole Zoom too. Everything, the weekend. Thank you. Danny's one of the original core of the virtual. So yeah.
The OG, right? OG. The original gangster.
Didn't you put the MOO in Movement Monday? I think that was you.
He did. Danny did. Yep. Ooh.
Unity stew.
All right.
Go ahead, Fab.
Hi, everybody. Just an honor to be here to meet several people that it's actually quite experienced with activism. Sometimes can be quite stressful to not being able to inform people in adequate ways. Nevertheless, there's of course reasons for that, and scientific knowledge it's very important. And actually, about the 50% of population being vegan by 2026 is entirely possible, and it's an objective, because, well, it will be awesome if it could be before that time, but nevertheless, with the, or better said, the new information about what's happening with the world is helping. For example, what has been mentioned about 50% probability that we reach the 1.5 the average degree temperature in the Earth by 2027. And that was before the war, well, different armed conflicts started, that every bomb, unfortunately, that is exploded, it's making worse the temperature of the environment. And well, it's like I said, an honor to be here, and well, we'll see each other, we'll be seeing each other on Mondays. And thanks a lot for the opportunity.
Our pleasure. Thank you for speaking up.
Thank you.
I'll fill the silence. It was mentioned earlier that somebody critiqued the endorsement of books and the self-promotion. I just wanted to see if there was anybody that felt that this event was promoting in any unsavory way. I kind of appreciate knowing about vegans who are expressing themselves through their publishings and projects.
Are you talking about on your panel?
On this open mic.
Oh, on the open mic.
I certainly found it very, very helpful. I mean, I've got a half a dozen things I want to read and look up, and I don't know where else I could go to find such I don't know, heartwarming and significant contacts. Great.
Nancy,
we had Patrick Babumia was demonstrating his game, and I think that that's good promotion. I don't think that. And when we were talking to him about presenting, he said, "What is this event like? Is it like a networking event?" We said, "Yes, but no, it's not." I mean, it's not really a networking event, and I can see that like heavy promotion in a just isn't something that seems to be happening here. I think that. There's a lot of sharing of information, and it's a free event, and everybody's participating in it's a community.
Yeah, there's a line there, isn't there, between sharing and promotion. And I think the courtesy and the respect that's here is purely sharing.
I'm going to give Nancy Posnack time to speak, and then
hi everyone.
Yeah.
I personally don't think there's anything wrong if somebody has a vegan business or a book or a movie or anything to promote it. We should all be getting behind that and helping vegan businesses thrive, because what are the other options? That we work for a company that's not vegan, that our efforts and that people make a profit. We're giving people a profit who contribute to animal suffering. So we need more vegan businesses. We need more promoting of everything. And you can tell when there's somebody that's just about themselves, but generally people who are vegan, I find it's a great passion in our lives, and it's not about us. And I think it's something that we do a great disservice by criticizing people for promoting what they're doing. I have a vegan business called Botanic Cuisine, and I had a bistro, and I experienced so much wonderful advocacy through that bistro. And I know I helped people. I know some people even went vegan. People took a literature, and it was very rewarding. I just couldn't afford it after a while. I'm going to reopen another time. But when you're face to face with the reality of how people actually eat, it's kind of on the front lines. It's a whole different story, and I thought it was going to be. I actually expected more and more people than there were interested in eating plant-based vegan food, but I do see the tides are turning, and I think it's great. But I think we should all, it'd be great if we could just all work in vegan business. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. In fact, I'll ask James Freedom to send you a bunch of our brochures so you can give it away from your store.
What if we're hungry and in Baltimore? I'll be glad to.
Yeah, give me a call. I'll bring you some food.
Keith, are you ready?
Yes. Shall I start or what?
Yes,
Can you hear
Nancy.
me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, good. Okay, so it's time for me to say something. I'm Keith Akers, and I've written a bunch of books, and I want to tell you a little about does Christspiracy give us prospects for a new worldwide spirituality? Okay, the quick answer is yes, but it's complicated, and there's a lot of things that we need to keep in mind. Several things we need to keep in mind are, first of all, this is not going to be clean and easy, and it's going to involve a lot of working with a lot of people that may not see exactly the same as we do, or even as I do. And I can already tell that there's a lot of different things going on right now within the movement and within climate healers and everywhere else. So there you go. So I want to talk a little about my personal journey first. I do have something in common with Cameron Waters, and that is that we were both raised in a Southern Baptist church. And I remained in that church for some time, even after I left home. But basically, I sort of dropped out at some point. One thing that happened on the way is that I became vegetarian, and then shortly thereafter, vegan. I became a vegetarian in 1978, and then became vegan in 1980. And then I started writing a bunch of books because my mom asked me, says, "Are there any good books on vegetarianism?" And so I mentioned a couple, and she took a look at them and says, "I don't think very much of these. I mean, they're okay, but they're not really what I would want to." So finally, I took a look at it. I said, "Yeah, actually, Mom, you're right. I could do a better job than that." So I wrote a vegetarian source book. Then, of course, John Robbins comes along later and writes Diet for a New America. And now we've got, a zillion cookbooks and a zillion books on veganism and vegetarianism of all sorts. But that's basically how I got started, was looking for a solution to the problem of how or whether we can politely or ethically kill an animal, and I finally concluded no. And I read a few words of animal liberation. I think it's chapter 3 about factory farming. I looked at it and I said, "That's it. I've got to go vegetarian, and eventually I'm going to have to go vegan, but I'm going to give myself a while to sort of acclimate to vegetarianism," because I had been going back and forth. I became vegetarian, then I would quit, then I would go on, then I'd go off. So I did this for many years, around 4 years actually, from the first time I thought, well, let's try vegetarianism, to the time where I said, yeah, I've got to be vegetarian. And then 2.5 years later, 2.25 years, sometime later, a little over 2 years later, I became vegan as well. And I've been vegan ever since. And so one of the questions which I tackled was, what does Christianity say about vegetarianism? And when I looked at the evidence, my first impact, and my first impression, and you have to realize this was in 1979, 1980, when I first started sort of actively investigating this. I said, no, Christianity is actually anti-vegetarian. This isn't going to work. And basically what I did was I looked at the letters of Paul, and I saw, eat whatever is offered in the meat market without asking any questions of conscience. I said, what? And then went on from there. And so I said, yeah, this is not going to work. And so I actually started out, when I first did my writing on Christianity, I started out with the assumption that I was going to say, Christianity is incompatible with vegetarianism, and here's why. But then I came across a book by Hans Joachim Schirps, who's a German Jew and a theologian as well, a student of religion, I should say, not necessarily a theologian. And he wrote this book called Jewish Christianity, Factional Disputes in the Early Church. And I found out from that there were early Christian groups that were vegetarian and against animal sacrifice. And it went on from there. And eventually I wrote a couple of books. Okay, I know you've just said, we don't want to self-promote, but I'm going to do this anyway. Okay, Lost Religion of Jesus. You've probably seen this or heard of it. Simple Living and Nonviolence in Early Christianity, which came out in 2000. And then in 2013, this is directly relevant to my topic, is this book, Disciples, How Jewish Christianity Shaped Jesus and Shattered the Church. Now I want to begin, first of all, by slightly apologizing for the term Jewish Christianity. The Jewish Christians did not think of themselves as Jewish Christians. They thought of themselves as either Nazarenes or Ebionites. And which one they saw themselves as depends on who you look at and what period you're looking at. At the very beginning, I think the movement was known as Nazarenes. And that problem, this is my speculation. Some of this is hard data, and I'm going to try to distinguish between what we know for a fact and basically it's my sort of suggestions or speculations. And this is a slight speculation, that is that they call themselves as Nazarenes up until the destruction of the temple in the year 70. Now, to give you a timeline, Jesus died in probably about the year 30. There's some dispute about this, but not much. It's probably about the year 30. Year 70, Jerusalem is captured by the Romans. The Jews rose up in revolt against Rome in the year 66. And this was a very bloody revolt. A lot of people got killed. Josephus says there were millions of people killed, which in ancient times, that's a lot of people because you got to kill them one by one. You can't just like, drop a bomb or something. So that's a lot of violence. And Josephus, who wrote about 20 years after the event, said this is one of the greatest events of world history. And for him, of course, as a Jew, it was. And this was also a very important event in Christianity as well, although it's not obvious at first because there's no really reference to the destruction of Jerusalem in our sources. I mean, we know that it happened because obviously it's part of history. Josephus writes about it, but from Christians themselves, there's not much about it. And so this is sort of a problem when you look at the history of Christianity and try to unravel, well, what were all these people doing? So you've already seen the movie, so you already know that about Jesus basically was against animal sacrifice. That's what got him killed. Animal sacrifice business was a big business in ancient Jerusalem. It's what drove the ancient economy of Jerusalem. It was like, so Jesus was not just saying, oh, we need to be nice to animals. I mean, he was saying that, but more, he was attacking the whole economic infrastructure of Jerusalem and Palestine at this time, which was centered around the temple. This is how they essentially made a living, from all the animals that were brought to be sacrificed. And there's some other things, though, that many people are not aware of. And one is, and some of them were alluded to in the film, but not really concentrated on. And one of these, most important one, is that there were a lot of disputes in the early church over the question of vegetarianism and animal sacrifice. There's a lot of stuff we don't really know fully about ancient Christianity. The first problem is that the Gospels were written after the destruction of the temple. They were continually edited into the 2nd century and beyond. So the Gospels are not really 100% reliable. I'm not a literalist, by the way. I'm not a biblical literalist. I was raised as a Southern Baptist, but basically right now, I don't really fit into Christianity at all. I've essentially become one of the church alumni, and currently I'm hanging out with the Buddhists. I'm hanging out with Plum Village Buddhism. But I still love Jesus, and I consider myself a follower of the religion of Jesus. But still, somehow I'm studying the Dharma with Plum Village Buddhism, and there's a basic reason for this, because I think that Plum Village Buddhism better embodies primitive Christianity than most of modern Christianity. And I can get into more of that. I'm going to say a bunch of sort of maybe startling or controversial things. Ask me questions, and we can talk about it at the end. I'm going to try to leave some time at the end for questions. But essentially, that's where I am personally. I've been to a lot of different churches. I studied with different Buddhist traditions. I studied in Japanese Zen, which is slightly different from Plum Village. There's Plum Village Buddhism is more like Vietnamese, and then Japanese Zen is from Japan, obviously, and then there also Vipassana. I've also early on when I was looking into Buddhism, we sat with some Vipassana Buddhists, and in the meantime, I've looked at various other religions around the thing. But I sort of settled into Plum Village Buddhism because that's actually better expresses what primitive Christianity was about, in my view, than most of modern Christianity. And so I salute those who are trying to reform Christianity, but I just don't quite know where to fit in. I think that a number of people are trying to do this. I think that the people at Carol Saunders and Lisa Levinson, they're all doing good work. I wish them luck. Maybe I'll wind up going to church with them sometime. But and oh yeah, and somebody commented, says Plum Village promotes veganism, while most Buddhists don't. They're soft on the promotion. But Thich Nhat Hanh, who's sort of the founder, because he was exiled from Vietnam. He was an opponent of the war in Vietnam, and he was Vietnamese. But of course, they threw him out. The communists wouldn't let him back in. So he was in exile for like 40 years or so, for a long time. And so he went to Plum Village in France. And that's where the doctrine started to spread to people in the West. So it's sort of like the Dalai Lama in one respect, is that the Dalai Lama, if you, in 1940, if you had asked somebody, about the Dalai Lama, they would have said, Dalai who? I mean, the Tibetan Buddhism was basically unknown before the Dalai Lama was exiled. And so here we are. And we're trying to make sense of what's going on. So let's start with the dispute in the church. And this is, so while the Gospels are sort of, we're not 100% certain of everything. In fact, the Jesus Seminar, the group of scholars who's come through to look at where we're going to look at the Gospels, we're going to find out what's historical and what's not. And they found out that these scholars basically reached the consensus that most of the stuff in the Gospels is not really true. It's either very uncertain. There's some things which we can say about Jesus. Jesus probably was nonviolent. The three things that all scholars, Christian or non-Christian, agree on is Jesus was baptized by John the Baptist. That's the first thing. The second thing is that there was an incident in the temple right before his death. And he went in and he did something, and it upset the authorities. And as a consequence, point number three is he was crucified. That's what everybody agrees on. And this is already taking us quite far, but that's actually, we can't go that much further on purely historical grounds. After that, you're trying to say, well, what was the message of Jesus? Well, I think we can make sense of it. It's simple living and nonviolence. That's the basis of primitive Christianity. And that's what Christianity ideally should be today. But, well, it's not totally like that. In fact, there are some churches where they promote militarism and they promote pig roasts and meat eating. And so it's totally unchristian in my view. But I'm not going to make any further criticism. I'm just going to point out this is not necessarily what James and Jesus had in mind. But the Gospels are a little suspect. The one thing that's not suspect is the letters of Paul. The letters of Paul are some of the most solid information we have about early Christianity. The letters of Paul were written probably, maybe in the 40s or the 50s. And this was a time when people who still knew Jesus were alive. And Paul was talking to them. But Paul has his own slant on things. And so we sort of have, I, as a person, as a student of history, sort of have a love-hate relationship with Paul, because on the one hand, I don't really like his theology. I mean, come on, slaves obey your masters. I mean, where's this coming from? But on the other hand, Paul is a great source of historical information because he is there. He was an actual participant in the events that he describes. And what does he describe? He describes a dispute in the early church over vegetarianism and animal sacrifice. And some of this was already alluded to. This is from Romans 14. As for the man who is weak in faith, welcome him, but not for disputes over opinions. One believes he may eat anything, while the weak man eats only vegetables. So we're to welcome the people who are weak in faith, but they only eat vegetables. Let not him who eats despise him who abstains, and let not him who abstains pass judgment on him who eats. And it goes on and on like that. Let us do not, for the sake of food, destroy the work of God. Everything is indeed clean, but it is wrong for anyone to make others fall by what he eats. It is right not to eat meat or drink wine or do anything that makes your brother stumble. That makes your brother stumble. And that last phrase, you see the whole problem. Paul is talking not just to like pagan vegetarians or something like that. He's talking to other Christian vegetarians. Not only is he talking to other Christian vegetarians, he's talking to other Christian vegetarians who think that vegetarianism should be required. Otherwise, the question of whether we should abstain or not doesn't even come up. We could say if Jesus ate meat, there would be a very simple solution for Paul. Paul would say, well, Jesus himself ate meat, so we don't have, I mean, you can either do it or not. But apparently it's a bone of contention in the early church. It's a big problem in the early church. And we know also from other sources that James, the brother of Jesus, was a vegetarian. In fact, Hegesippus says that James was holy from his birth. That is, not only was he vegetarian, but he was raised as a vegetarian. And I think that, in fact, probably the whole movement at that point was vegetarian, going back a couple of generations. Now we know that John the Baptist also was a vegetarian. There's a dispute about insects here, which I can get into if anybody cares. But basically, everybody seems to agree that, with the possible exception of the occasional insect, that John the Baptist was a vegetarian. In fact, Josephus, the Slavonic translation of Josephus, explicitly says he ate only those things which grew of themselves, plants. Basically, he only ate plant foods. And James, the brother of Jesus, also was a vegetarian and was raised as a vegetarian. So what does that make Jesus' parents? James and Jesus were brothers, and so that means the parents of Jesus must be vegetarian as well, and have taught their kids to be vegetarian. So there's strong prima facie argument that Jesus was a vegetarian, even before we get into the more nebulous issues of what he was doing in the temple. There's some other things that we might want to keep in mind about the ancient world. That is that dairy products and eggs were not real big commercial items in the ancient world because of refrigeration. You couldn't really, there's no real easy way to preserve milk or eggs. And so there wasn't much of a market. There's probably some people would go over and buy some eggs or something, but I mean, it wasn't a big operation. Whereas meat eating, you could transport the animal to the market wherever it needed to be slaughtered. So that was more of a consideration. The other thing is that almost everyone in the ancient world was vegan most of the time, or ate vegan, shall we say, ate vegan most of the time because they had no choice. If you ate meat, you were in the 1% of ancient Roman society. And so then when we see another thing that Paul says, let's see, where is it? Oh, I can quote it. Not Matthew, 1 Corinthians 10:25. Eat whatever is sold in the meat market without raising questions of conscience. Eat whatever is sold in the meat market without raising questions of conscience. Well, there's two things. The first thing is obvious and something that we as vegetarians would immediately notice, and that is he's allowing, it's okay to eat meat. What is this nonsense? But the other thing to notice, which maybe escaped the attention of agile-minded vegans, is that he's addressing the 1% of ancient Roman society. He's talking to somebody that's able to go into the meat market and get meat. So he's talking to the rich. He's talking to the rich. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes I like to talk to people who are rich. But the point is that he's trying to take the message out into the world, and he's looking at it from a practical point of view. So I don't think that Paul really has an ideological interest in promoting meat consumption or anything like that. I think he just, in fact, he says if it offends my brother, I will never eat meat again. So he probably was vegetarian. But the point is, he wanted an open, quote, tolerant movement that allowed meat eaters in, because he wanted to appeal to the upper class, because he saw that's how we're going to promote Christianity. And that he probably was right on that point, because when Christianity started to spread in the Roman Empire, it's through the upper class. It's because it started to appeal to the upper class in ancient Rome. And so it took a couple of centuries, but basically that's how we get to the point where eventually Christianity is the religion of the empire. So those are two things which you should keep in mind. Now, I know that some people, let me see, can I share a screen? Let's try. Let's see. Let's try to share this. Oh yeah, here we go. So can you see that? That's the relationship between ancient groups. And you can, this is taken from my book, Disciples. This is a fairly busy kind of diagram, but I just wanted to show you the diversity within people. Most of the groups in this below about John the Baptist could have claimed to be Christian in some sense, but most of them are also followers of John the Baptist. Jesus himself was part of John's movement at the beginning. He was baptized by John the Baptist, and then it goes on from there. Then you have a split between Paul and James. That's because of the controversy in the early church. Who were the vegetarians that Paul was complaining about? That was probably James, Peter, and John. Those are the people in the early church that were trying to promote vegetarianism, and were getting rather upset with Paul because he was not promoting the message, the message of abstinence from animals, and specifically from meat sacrificed to animals. The other reason I would say, so this is just to show you the diversity in the early movement. Now I know that Jane Unchained and other people have complained about we're always arguing with each other. We can't agree, and I think there are two schools of thought on it. One is that it's basically sort of a good thing, and that it's a sort of a bad thing. And it's both. It's a problem. So I think that we do need diversity in the movement. I'd like to see a lot of different viewpoints. So everybody thinks alike, talks alike, and acts alike. It begins to sound like a cult. Well, we're not a cult, that's for sure. So, but we don't want it to get taken to absurd lengths. So anyway, that shows you some of the diversity in the movement. That's what we're dealing with from a historical point of view. So, okay, now what about this spiritual movement that we're trying to start? And what does it have to do with animal sacrifice? What is this? What is all this stuff about animal sacrifice? Well, animal sacrifice is the main way that poor people get to eat meat. And Jesus was talking to the poor. The Ebionites, which was what the movement was called after approximately the year 70, at least the mainstream Jewish Christians. I see a question here. Does that make sense, Keith? If at least one of the main messages of Jesus was the necessity of ending sacrifice for us, and Paul is trying to spread the message of the opposite message. It's okay to sacrifice. Right. Yeah. Paul thinks that I'm not sure if everybody can read the message there, but she's asking, says, aren't Paul and Jesus advocating different things? Yes, they're advocating very different things. This was a big dispute in the early church. And the church split. And this split was never healed. It just ended. Because eventually, the group that follows James, the brother of Jesus, who basically, in my humble opinion, expressed original Christianity, that group died out. Paul's message won out. And one of the main reasons it won out was because of the suppression, the vicious, brutal suppression of the Jewish revolt in the year 70. Okay, if you are an Ebionite, a Jewish Christian, as we call them, although they didn't think of themselves as that, then this was a devastating blow to the Jewish part the people that still sort of thought of themselves as Jews, which included James. They were following the law of Moses as interpreted by Jesus. That's how they saw it. But anyway, they saw themselves as the true followers of Jesus, but they essentially lost out to Paul, because the Gentile, there were already Jewish and Gentile Christian churches at this point. The people that Paul preached to were more the Gentile groups. Gentile Christianity was virtually untouched by the revolt against Rome. They suffered essentially nothing. I mean, they heard the news, they knew the reports, blah, 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 but that was it. And from Jewish Christianity, however, had to suffer with all the rest of the Jews who had to deal with the catastrophe that befell ancient Israel at that time. So Paul was writing before this. He said the world is going to end. Paul thinks that the world is going to end, and that's why he's not particularly concerned about whether they're eating meat or not. He just wants the message to spread somehow so that as many people will be saved as possible. He thinks he's going to live to see the day that Jesus appears in the clouds somewhere and the last judgment happens. So that's sort of the situation at the time. And the common people, they were vegans most of the time. They were going to get the only time they were going to get meat is when you either sacrifice the animal to Zeus or sacrifice it in the temple at the Passover. Otherwise, you wouldn't really get meat. That was the only, quote, temptation. So there wasn't any regular consumption of meat in the ancient world, except among the rich at this point. So now, so where does this animal sacrifice, where does it come from? Let's see if I could go back to, I want to share. Let's see, let's go. Okay, let's go to this. Here's the screen. Now, can you see that? That's ancient extinctions. Now, if you go back far enough, all human ancestors were vegetarian or almost completely vegetarian, maybe except for the occasional termite. So if you go back to Australopithecus, which is like maybe 3 million, 7 million years ago or something like that, which is a direct ancestor of human, then you see that, yes, we're vegetarians except for the occasional cut mark, occasional termite. And because of cut marks, which you see on animal bones, we also know that they ate meat, but it was very occasional, and it was due to scavenging. Around 100,000 years ago, things start to change. And one of these ways we know this is because of large animal extinctions. Whenever humans enter an area, large animal extinctions follow. So this graph is the percent survival of large mammal species. And you can see that there's the point where humans enter the continent. And this happens repeatedly over and over again. And up until, in fact, even it happens over and over again. Now, what this means is that when humans were hunting, they were somehow, at some point, they transitioned essentially from, like scavenging. Somehow they figured out, with using communication and spears and planning, they figured out how to hunt animals that were larger than they were. And so around 100,000 years ago, they started, the large animal species started dying out. Now, if you look at, for example, North America. Now, North and South America are sort of atypical. Africa only suffered about 20 or 30% of large mammal extinctions. And a large mammal is basically something that's bigger than 100 pounds or so. But you can see that in this case, that the large animals went extinct about 20 to 30% in Africa, about 30, 40% or so in Asia and Europe, and about 80% in Australia. Australia lost almost all of its large mammal species at that time. And North and South America lost about 70, 75% or so. Mammoths, mastodons, giant sloths, an American version of the horse, an American version of the camel, saber-toothed tigers. All of these mammals went extinct. All these mammals went extinct almost certainly because of human overhunting. So that's a problem. And that's why ancient humans, prehistoric humans beginning about 100,000 years were not vegetarians. They were almost certainly, this is the only way I can make sense of understanding the ancient record, is because they were hunting these animals, and we have other evidence as well. We have, spears were found in the skeletons of mastodons and so forth and so on, and so we know that they were being hunted. And now, in the case of saber-toothed tigers, it probably wasn't because we were hunting saber-toothed tigers. It's because we were hunting the same things the saber-toothed tigers were hunting, only because we had communication skills and spears and stuff like that. We were able to do a lot better job. Well, eventually, about 10,000 years ago, we started to run out of things to kill. So this is our first environmental lesson here, is that while we can use violence, and this was at the time a very good strategy for humans because it unlocked a huge store of food, which was heretofore unavailable to any other species, But suddenly we figured out how to hunt them and to eat them. But eventually, this stopped being quite so profitable, and so we had to. So then, what do we do? We're going to start it. We're going to hunt rabbits. That's one alternative. We could hunt rabbits. It's much easier to hunt large animals than small animals. The small animals don't yield a lot of meat, and they're harder to find. It's easier to find an elephant than it is to find a squirrel. So for these reasons, we turned to agriculture, ran out of things. And from a point of view of evolution, this was a huge evolutionary step forward. It actually was better than hunting and gathering. Because then our population exploded. We're about maybe 3 million, 6 million, 10,000 years ago. All the large animals, or a lot of the large animal species, were gone. But then humans exploded in population to 100, 1,000 times greater than we were than just 10,000 years ago. So this is also the time at which war originated, because the same thing that makes humans dangerous to large animals, the fact that we can work together in groups, we've got spears now, all these kinds of things. This is something, all these kinds of things not only make you dangerous to other animals, it makes you dangerous to other humans as well. And so then you have the origin of war. And if you go back in time, you can see that there's a lot of violence in prehistory. In fact, Steven Pinker, who wrote the book, The Better Angels of Our Nature, he writes a book about this. And he says, we're making great progress because look at how violent we were in our prehistory. And now we've made a lot of progress. That even in the 20th century, in which we saw a great deal of violence, it was still more peaceful than it was in prehistory, because people were just killing each other constantly, and there's nothing you could rely on. So in this situation, the larger the group, the more secure you were. And so we started to evolve socially. And one way we evolved socially is to stop relying on hunting animals for food. The other way is to band together in groups that we can defend ourselves. And so then we have then you have sort of the evolution of societies. And at first, it's very violent too. Now, Pinker has a number of things wrong, but I don't want to get into a diatribe about Steven Pinker, but he's right on the basic point that prehistory was very violent. Now, not so much so. So we are evolving. And so kind of feelings did this prompt in people? Now I want to share another screen. Let's go back. Share the screen, except I'm going to go backwards here. Here we go. Okay, well, what's going to happen is that you are going to feel we are not natural meat eaters. We're not natural meat eaters. And so, in fact, one of the basic points of vegan propaganda is that if you love animals called pets, why do you eat animals called dinner? And we sort of throw that up as a slogan. Maybe this will get through their heads and make them want to stop eating animals. But this is a serious issue in psychology now, and it's called the meat paradox. Many people wish to avoid harming animals, yet most people also consume meat. This theoretical meat paradox is a form of cognitive dissonance and has grave negative consequences for animal welfare and the environment. Yet, despite these consequences, and then the article goes on to describe the various literature, and it's actually a very good review, and it gives you references to all kinds of different sources. So I recommend this, and the references, I could give you the references later. It's in my book if you're interested. But anyway, the point is, this is a serious problem. This is not just vegans trying to think of some weird argument to convince the meat eaters. This is a real psychological thing, which Melanie Joy has written about, which other people have written about as well. And now psychologists are beginning to study it. So I think that we are naturally inclined not to want to harm animals because there's just a natural human revulsion against that. And that's an important point in our favor, but it's also a problem because whenever you raise the subject, the cognitive dissonance is going to kick in because you're going to be faced with the fact that all your friends eat meat. You ate meat for a long time, or at least for those who are not raised as vegetarians or vegans. And most of society says it's okay. We've got this continual stream of propaganda that says you got to get your protein, you got to eat meat, and so it's a problem. It's a problem, and so people people try to make sense of this as best we can. We've got the truth on our side, but we also have a very powerful enemy. But this enemy, I think, is also weak in several ways. Now, this results in all kinds of economic problems, of which we already know. For example, climate change. Let me show you. It's time for another screen share here. Let's share this. Move forward a few pages. Okay, now this is mammal biomass 100,000 years ago. This is before we really got the idea of hunting animals to extinction. Now, this is all hominid species. We're talking about carbon biomass here, by the way. And this is from Václav Smil's data. You see the little black dot in the right-hand corner there, that represents all hominid species 100,000 years ago. All other mammals were the overwhelming majority. We were probably less than 1% of all the total carbon biomass of mammals 100,000 years ago. Now we flash forward to 1900, and you can see that, well, things have certainly changed. The wild mammals have drastically shrunk. Their percentage and their absolute numbers has drastically shrunk. Humans are now very populous, and then all the life, the gray cubes represent the carbon biomass, 1 megaton of carbon biomass for all our livestock. And then we flash forward again to the year 2000, and you can see this. Now, this is stuff that Sailesh and the others have already covered, but I just wanted to refresh your memory so that now we are the overwhelming preponderance of all carbon biomass of large animals on the planet. So it's no wonder you have extinctions. I mean, there's no other place for animals to go. And this shows the same thing. This is a graphical. This actually uses wet biomass. This is not carbon biomass. This is Anthony Barnosky. And you can see that for the past 100,000 years, we've been about 200 billion kilograms of, or less of total biomass, not just carbon, total biomass, until about the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. And then suddenly, at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, things explode. Humans and their livestock, the total carbon biomass is now over 1,400 kilograms of 1,400 kilograms of 1,400 billion kilograms of biomass. So it's hugely exploded. And so where are all the poor wild animals going to go? So when we talk about animal liberation, let's see, oh, this is another thing. When we talk about animal liberation, we usually think in terms of domestic animals, because that's where most of the suffering is occurring. And that makes sense to a certain extent. But we have to realize the historical antecedents of industrial livestock agriculture, which was what we were in, namely that we were in such a small minority of the total animal biomass on the planet. And now there's almost nothing except humans and their cows and their other associated livestock. There's no wonder. And this has implications for everything. It's like, because of there's all this increase in biomass of human beings, their livestock. What are all these human beings and their livestock doing? They're breathing out carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. And what are they eating? They're eating plant matter. And all the plant matter in turn is plant matter is actually declining. It's declining by about half since humans have started agriculture. And so we've decreased the plant matter, and that's what absorbs all the CO2. That's the ultimate way that we're going to draw CO2 out of the atmosphere. That's easier than these mechanical methods of carbon sequestration, which are never going to work. But the natural carbon sequestration, proven over millennia to work, is what you're going to, is how you're going to do it. And so we've destroyed the mechanism of photosynthesis, which takes CO2 out of the air, but we've also increased the amount of carbon dioxide emitted by animals into the air. So what's wrong with this picture? Well, that's why we get Goodland and Nanhang. That's why Sailesh is so excited about animal agriculture. It's not the only cause of, it's not the only source of greenhouse gas emissions, but it's important. We've still got carbon dioxide from coal. So if we keep burning coal and overpopulating the planet and consuming, then it won't matter. We could go vegan and that would help, but that's not going to solve the problem. So I could go on and on about the environmental stuff, but I want to sort of wrap it up here and bring us back to my main focus, which is on what does this have to do with the spiritual connection? To really solve this problem, we have to understand something. We have to alter humans' basic value systems. In the beginning of the axial age, now that about the year 800 BCE to 200 BCE, this was the classic axial age. And this is when all these thinkers like Pythagoras, like Confucius, like Lao Tzu, like the Buddha, like the Hebrew prophets, like Isaiah, Jeremiah, all of these people arose at roughly the same time, and it had a radical transformation on the ethical basis of society and on the social basis of society also, because this is when you have large empires arise and in which violence actually starts to come down substantially. So it's not just, as Steven Pinker seems to think, that just we developed agriculture and violence stopped. No, it wasn't until the axial age that our violent prehistory suddenly started to come under control, because then you have ideas about equality, about compassion, about honesty, all these basic moral codes like do not kill, and things like that, which are present in all the religions to a greater or lesser extent, got started at this point. This is what we need, except that we need to extend it to all of nature. We've just taken these axial age principles that do not lie, do not kill, do not steal, do not commit sexual immorality, and so forth. All of these things, which are found in some form in all the major religions that started about this time, found in Buddhism, Christianity, Judaism, but it's not applied to the earth, and it's not applied to other living things. So we have to have respect for not only animals, but also for plants, minerals, etc., because it's all one thing. It's all one thing. That the minerals that are in the earth, they may not be able to think for themselves, but they are part of our environment. They are an expression of the earth, which is essentially at this point a living thing, but it's a living thing under great stress. So we have to somehow take a new morality out into the world that extends to all these things. And it's not just in veganism either. We have to, let me make one final screen share here. Share, and now I have to go forward. This is land subsidence. I can talk about that. Here's what I wanted you to see. This is a graph. This shows where carbon emissions are come from. The total lifestyle consumption emissions. It's almost 50% of all the emissions are just the richest 10%. That translation, that's mostly like the United States, the rich countries and the rich people in every country. That's where the problem is. A lot of the problem is right there, and we have to address that as well. And we have to take care of the poorest. And because of soil erosion, there are other problems which I could get into. Because of soil erosion, soil is eroding 10 to 20 times faster than the natural rate of soil formation. This is not sustainable. Even if everybody on the planet was vegan, it wouldn't be sustainable. Soil erosion and groundwater depletion. The green revolution depends on irrigation and it depends on energy. And we're depleting our supplies of water. You can already see that there's some communities in Arizona that are already can't get water. There's a suburb of Scottsdale that has to truck in the water because they've run out of water. The Colorado River in the west goes dry now by the time it gets to the ocean. So we've already hit the limits to growth. We've already hit the limits to growth of Western agriculture that depends on the Colorado River. And yet people are still moving to the area. It's like, go figure. I don't know what they're planning to do, build a huge pipeline and desalinate the water and pump it in from the Pacific Ocean. I don't know. But I mean, it's just totally ludicrous. We face a different problem than just climate change. We face a problem of limits to economic growth. We've totally overrun the planet in terms of biodiversity and in terms of other ways. We need a smaller economy. That means we need simple living and nonviolence on a massive scale. And so that's the kind of spiritual revolution that we are looking for. And it's not to say there aren't political ramifications of this, but we have to keep track of both the spiritual aspects and the political and economic aspects and the technical aspects as well. I don't think that renewables are going to save us. I think that we've got to simply accept that we need a smaller economy. So I hope that we can work together, certainly for a vegan world, and certainly for a more spiritually oriented world based on a new morality. So with that, I will conclude. And if anybody has any questions, BJ, I don't know how do you want to feel these, but I think we've got time for a few questions.
Yes, that's wonderful. We do have some time. And I guess I will start off with my question. Do you think current seminaries and people that you've talked to understand about the Ebionites and the Nazarenes and that they were vegetarian?
No. I think that's the quick answer. I could be surprised because I sort of stopped keeping track of all the debates over early Christian history about the time that about 2013 or 2014. And since then, I've been working more on environmental issues. So I'm not totally current, but my impression is No, I think there's some work that needs to be done, but I think that there are some people, which I had some contact with, who are aware of these issues and might be able to get it into sort of a more theological sort of thing. And from there, it might radiate out into the church.
Okay, thank you so much. Are there any other questions? And I don't see any in the chat, but
Yeah, a couple of people raised their hands. How do you want to handle this, BJ? You want to just unmute them and
let's put Dr. Rao on there because I can't see
Shankar?
the hands right now.
Shankar, go ahead.
Yes, I can unmute. I can come on. I can't come on a video. I don't know. I tried.
Okay,
It's not
hold on.
letting, but I can just ask the question. It's okay.
We can hear you, Shankar.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, I can now. Thank you. Hello, Keith. Yeah, actually, I enjoyed it in the movie, like when you were explaining, it was a good connection, relation, everything was amazing with the sequence, the conspiracy. And thanks for the explanation, especially for the chart down. That kind of gave a reference to go back and look later or this thing. I want to know how there is actually a part of some of my Ethiopian friends I came to know because they said, yeah, we are vegan because they offered me food and I said, is it vegan? Yeah, it's vegan. Of course, we do fasting. So, and then I said like, but we still follow Orthodox form of Christianity, which is like, which before you even went to Rome, we are following that version. And then we do follow these vegan habits there. They kind of like, selective days in the year they select and they go vegan, like they don't even take dairy, and people who follow the strict fasting. And do you know anything in relation to that or any connection?
Okay, so I'm not quite getting the question here. It's about the Daniel fast? What?
No, not exactly the Daniel fast. There is a name for it. Right now I forgot like how you call it as this thing. Proper some Ethiopian word. Yeah.
Now that's something that I actually I was aware of it, but then but I think this would probably appeal to the more evangelical crowd. So that might be a we. So I'm not going to insist that everybody has to believe that Jesus was a vegetarian. If you wanted to say, well, it's the Daniel fast, then I would say, close enough, as long as you're vegan. And there are books that are written. I think I would mention, what is it? Is God a Vegetarian by Richard Young. It's sort of old, but it would be a good book for an evangelical type fundamentalist person who wants, nevertheless, to be vegetarian and looking for some good, and doesn't think that Jesus was a vegetarian. Then that would be one way to approach it. So I'm not going to insist. I think that Jesus was a vegetarian, but whatever, as long as we get there, I don't care.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Nancy?
Yeah, thank you so much, Keith. I just wanted to let you know that my very dearest friend, Michael Berensweg, who died. Yeah, you remember him.
Yeah, I remember him. Yes.
He likes to talk on the phone a lot, and
yeah, I know.
He read all your books and recommended all of them, just all of them. So I have that background, and also meeting you at the vegan Johnstown festival.
Summerfest, yeah.
Summerfest. Okay, so two quick questions. One is, have you read Joseph Atwill's Caesar's Messiah, the Roman Conspiracy to Invent Jesus? So that's Caesar's Messiah, the Roman Conspiracy to Invent Jesus.
I
recommend it. Yeah, for everybody, because it does really, this is a Christian who didn't want to see what he was seeing when he read the Old Testament, the New Testament, the War on the Jews, and the History of the Jews, the latter two by Josephus. Okay, so I'm just put that out there. It's an amazing kind of, wait a minute kind of thing. And number two, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I think there was such a person as the historical Jesus.
Okay, he
and
thinks it was
and that
Lazarus.
Paul discusses him, and that the Ebionites discuss him. But other than that, I can't comment in detail because I haven't read the book.
Okay, okay.
Second question.
So, yeah, Caesar's Messiah, recommended just to give
Got it.
this amazing perspective. And then the other one is the person who was in the film with you, Jim Mason,
Yes,
wrote the
yes,
book, right? An Unnatural Order.
yes.
The roots of our domination and destruction of nature and each other.
Yes.
And I appreciate his why men went out to hunt in terms of going too far north, no vegetation, and then the whole thing about the male-female relationships and why misothery, that's his word. I recommend that book also, besides yours. Just in terms of, it wasn't just that they invented spears and worked together, but because if we're herbivores, it's not natural to like drool over like a cow or a sheep.
Yeah. I've read Jim Mason. I agree with most of his stuff. The only main difference is that I take it much further back. I take it didn't start with the domestication of animals. It goes back to 100,000 years ago. And
yeah, he does too.
A lot of it, it's not natural to hunt, but if you are a primitive society, then another primitive society arises that knows how to hunt, they're going to outcompete you. They're going to drive you out of business because basically this is a huge source of calories, and it's much hunting would have never succeeded. I think the ratio is about 10-1 is what they've estimated of primitive hunter-gatherers. So it's not natural. It's an economic thing. It's not like let's go out and kill something kind of thing. I think that it became associated with masculinity, but I don't think it is intrinsic to masculinity. So that's the quick. I could go into more detail, but I see we're running out of time.
Maybe we could go into this further some other time.
Yeah. Talk to me. Do you know how to get? Yeah.
In
Talk
touch
to me.
with you?
I'm on the internet. Find me.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy. Dr. Clapper, did you have something to say?
Yes. Hi, Keith. It's really good to see you, and Sailesh as well. What an honor to take part in this, or just to witness this wonderful weekend event. And it's about time, the truth got told in such a direct, powerful way. And you are all coming at it in very important viewpoints. Keith, it must have been back in 1982. I think I had just come into the vegan movement and looking for some type of sanity and validation. And your book, the Vegetarian Source Book, found its way into my hands. And I was so relieved to see such a scholarly work, such a calm presentation of these very powerful truths. And it just personified who you have been all these decades. And here you are, almost 4 or 5 decades later, still saying this very powerful truth. And I just want to thank you and acknowledge you for your scholarship and your love and your concern and your presence. You've been a real beacon for me over the years. And so just want to acknowledge you for that. And to let the messages we've heard today on that remarkable film and your scholarly discourse and everyone's viewpoint. The time is late. There's no other choice than to become vegan. And I'm going to get a T-shirt made up. Eat plants and get on with it. Already. This is basically what it comes down to at this point. But do it with love, and love will find a way, and the truth will find a way. So again, good to see you all. Thank you for this wonderful event, and know that I'm an ally in arms here, hoping to help things along. Be well.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank
Dr.
you so
Clapper.
much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Keith, very much for your contribution. All right. Tammy, can please take us home.
Well, thank you, everyone. It's been an incredible, incredible weekend and very empowering in the connection with the Christ within all of us and the ability to take creative action. And that's what I hear. And that's what we all heard in this incredible convergence of the peoples, is that when the peoples come together, the change happens. And so I'm grateful to be a participant and also to be a witness, to witness each other's journey in the homecoming. And the visualization that we are coming home. We're coming home to our true essence, our true ability to remember our strength. And as I'm watching Nancy speak and her t-shirt roar, that's what we're doing. We're roaring like maybe like butterflies, but it makes a huge difference when we come out of our cocoons. So thank you everyone for coming out of your cocoons to be here this weekend and in all your individual energetics. And so let's just take a few nice deep breaths together. Just feeling yourself as a breathing organism. Allowing everything that might have felt too heavy to just be released into Mother Earth. As the shamans say, the hucha, the dense energy, can just be evaporated back into Mother Earth. She takes all our dense energy. And then as you lift the heavens and everything that inspired you with your breath in, your new life. And exhalation and release. So imagine if it was that easy to clear. We breathe in new life. We exhale and we release. Now in the Million Vegan Grandmothers, Judy Carmen is my Kamaya. And if she tells me to do something, I try to do it. And she asked me if I would close and read a poem I sent her a short while ago that I wrote. It's called Vegan Grandmothers Speak. We are not getting old. We are getting bold, as well as wise to the lies they can no longer hide in our crow-winged eyes, or block out with those sonar rings they've used to deafen our seek-in. Our eyes and our ears are wide open now. Our hearts too, they are feeling, not failing. We can see, hear, and feel clearly. And where the truth once enters, no denial or spurious debate can ever again penetrate. We refuse to embroider upon your cushions. We're not interested in comfort, but hard facts. We will be bold and not do as we're told, or waste our time trying not to look old. Don't even try to tuck us away with your tuts of dismay. For as long as you fail to step up, we won't lie down or even feel the need to rest. No, we will stand and be heard, if need be, right up to our final breath. We grandmothers and people of truth of all nations, we midwife reconciliation of the rebirth of a new earth. We'll speak of sacred sovereignty and so many earthlings left to be, of a free and abundant sea and love between you and me. So come closer to the fire that burns in us. It is you, not we, who need relief from the cold, from the icy illogic of lies you've been told. For there is no need to kill. Thou shalt not was even God's will. No need to buy and sell creation. No need for human domination. Let this credo melt away and share our vision of something kinder. You can hear it in your own heart if you listen, quiet, like a gentle reminder. For we humans have only temporarily lost our way. And when we no longer wish to stray, all we need to do is consult our pathfinders. Because love is bold. Love is bold. Love never grows old. So take a nice deep breath, thanking yourself for showing up. And remembering, just taking a moment to give thanks and praise to everyone that showed up and shared and opened your mind and your heart and your soul. And take this inspiration into your creative action of the week. And allow everything that felt a bit heavy to just be released back into the earth so that your next breath in can be filled with creative action. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Namaste, vegan.
Thank you, Jen.